Howdy, y'all, and welcome to episode 60 of Liberty Libations. My name is Jake Green, joined as usual by Alden, Hardee, Zane, Placie, and Zach Varnell. It's not Alden had dry January, now it's wet February. So, Alden, what's your drink of choice for the night, man?
I've got a Cotter with a little Grand Marnier, and then I've also got a beer whenever I run out of that.
I love it. Zane,
I'm prepared.
I see you have something fancy tonight.
This is actually on Alden's recommendation. It's called Corpse Reviver number 2, which when I first heard that name, I'm like, how could somebody have made Corpse Reviver and thought, you know what we need? Number 2 of that.
Number 1 was a flop. Good. Yeah.
Fair enough. Zach, are you drinking something besides White Claw?
Well, I was out of White Claw, so I stole some of my wife's white wine. So.
Perfect.
I thought you were going to say moonshine.
From White Claw to white wine. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, we're actually just going to get right to it because we have a ton of things to go over tonight. The first of which is convention. Zane and Zach were both at convention this past weekend. What were y'all's thoughts on the whole thing? What did y'all like? What did you dislike? What do you think we could do better next time? Yeah.
I had a blast. I thought it was fun. Good talks. I liked hearing Elizabeth talk, even though I'm involved with the Banished Big Brother. I still learned from her there. Just she's always throwing something new out there. It's cool seeing Spike. He's a great guy.
Spike dominated the weekend.
Even better in person.
Yeah.
And then, the debate we'll talk about more, but it was great. It's all the buzz online right now.
We'll talk about the debate here in a bit.
I just have to give you a great amount of props for just how professional it looks. It looks extremely professional.
Well, thanks.
Everybody should go watch it.
I appreciate that. I was actually going to start out this episode with an apology for the lack of quality in the debate.
It's all relative.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's not up to my standards, but I'm stupid picky, and I'm also a film major, so it kind of makes sense that basically, 98% of the movies made aren't up to my standards. So. There's not going to be a debate in a Libertarian convention in a VFW post in the middle of Conyers, Georgia, that is going to be up to my
hours to set up for.
That I had less than an hour to set up for. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the audio quality, my computer would not receive the audio. I was messing with it for 30 minutes at the beginning of the debate, and it just wouldn't receive the audio. So what we got is the shotgun mic from on top of the dadgum camera, which caught people coughing in the background, caught people talking. Not the best. Caught Zane clicking endlessly to tell people to stop talking.
That makes feature, sense. Not a bug. If you're going 30 seconds over your allotted time, people should know that you were supposed to have stopped 30 seconds ago.
That's fair.
That's fair.
It's definitely the least disruptive compared to someone that deep-throated a mic to cough every time.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know who that was, but they were coughing. They were sick.
Yeah. And then the talk went to COVID for a while, and I was like, well, how appropriate. I was prepped for it for an hour already. But
one of the comments during the live stream was, somebody get that man a lozenge. It's ridiculous how much coughing was going on.
It was pretty bad.
But yeah, I actually, despite running around like a crazy person, I enjoyed the weekend. Spike and his organization were all over the place, and they're doing some fantastic things here in Georgia and around the country with You Are the Power. So You Are the Power, I think it's .net. Yeah, youarethepower.net. Go check it out if you don't know about Spike's organization, because they are putting libertarian principles to practice in real world scenarios, and they're helping families get reunited after medical kidnapping of children and all sorts of stuff. So and you can also get more information on that from a Free Georgia podcast episode where I talked to Jennifer Williams about she's a foster mom, and she took in 2 kids who had been separated from their parents because the state accused them of abuse, even though there was no abuse, and they're going to be finally reunited on March 1st. So pretty stoked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, there was the least amount of hostilities during business day, which I thought was fantastic. It was the smoothest business has ever run that I've been to a libertarian event. So enjoyed that. We picked our national delegates. Both y'all are going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So DC in May to pick our presidential candidate and our vice presidential candidate. That's going to be
road trip.
Awesome. I think it'll be flight trip. Yeah, I don't know that I don't want to bore people too much with convention stuff, especially people who weren't there. I would highly advise
play bingo.
We did. We could have played bingo. We were invited to play bingo. But if you want to see any of the talks, they're up online, and I'm going to be putting the full quality versions because they were live streamed from crap Wi-Fi during the convention. So we're going to be putting the full versions up in the coming week. And you can check out Spike's talk, Elizabeth's talk, You Are the Power, which was just fantastic. It was a full hour long of them detailing some incredible things. And you can go over and watch Tower Gang podcast Spin Room of the Debate, which we are going to get to right now. January 27th was the presidential debate here in Georgia. We're going to go through some clips. I have, 10 of them to go through. And we can discuss them or just laugh at them and move on.
Depending on the clip, yeah.
Yeah, depending on the clip. Let me pull things up here. And there we go. Mr. Brad Binkley absolutely killed it as the moderator.
I want a shot of Toad's bare feet at one point.
You will get a shot of Toad's bare feet. I promise you that. It's all over the place. Here we go.
Yeah, you know what LP stands for, right? Loser party. That is what the LP is. It's a party of losers. The party just constantly loses all the time. I would not try to convince you to vote for me if I was running for the LP. That's not the direction that I would take out. And whereas a bunch of these other guys are gonna, just spew some BS about, well, both these parties suck. Yeah, everybody knows both these other parties suck for the most part now. I probably wouldn't even put a political spin on it at all. What I would do is, and this is something that I do.
Okay, so then Toad proceeds to talk about how he goes into bars, talks to random strangers, and just talks to them about how liberty can impact their everyday life, which I'm a huge fan. Like, that's great. I love that. But you're on the stage trying to get the nomination for our presidential candidate.
Yeah.
And you're saying, I wouldn't tell people to vote for me.
Right.
Don't know if that's the best strategy.
I don't know Toad personally. I've never met him, but I love that someone in the comments was like, when you started talking about going to bars and talking to random strangers, he's like, I'll take things that never happened for 500 or whatever.
Yeah. So actually, here's a good question. Like, what do you think the odds are that Toad actually goes to bars?
I don't know.
To approach random people about liberty.
Well, I've heard that he's a recovering alcoholic, so probably not very high.
That's interesting a detail.
Yeah.
But to your earlier point about why are you on the libertarian debate stage telling people to not vote for libertarians, it's kind of the duality of libertarianism. And I have a feeling that this theme will come up a lot as we go through this debate of, we have serious ideas and we want people to take what we're saying and really think about it and not think that we're just a joke. But then on the other hand, a lot of us think that the government is completely illegitimate. All of us think that the political process is really dumb and not at all what everybody else makes it out to be. Mm-hmm. So I think that there is room for, not taking it ourselves overly seriously because the entire system is not to be taken seriously. But then again, if we're in a situation where everybody else thinks the situation is to be taken seriously, if we go too far over to the side of being a parody of ourselves, then I can see how we might never reach people. But we can't. If you go too far over to the other side, then we're all just completely joyless and humorless and not acknowledging the absurdity of what we're doing. So there's kind of a balance to be struck here.
Right.
I can hardly blame anybody for trying something new because Like we've tried the respectable thing. People have put on suits and gotten in debates with other libertarians and talked about what they would do when they're president.
Right.
And they probably get like 30 views and it's the same people. I don't know, like maybe being a goofball on stage or whatever isn't the right answer, but I appreciate people trying something new. I know like Vermin Supreme kind of tried it too, and that was his thing. I think the problem is that he didn't hit them with the liberty message ever. He hit them with brush your teeth and own a pony or something. But
yeah, Alden, you should. I know you don't know who Vermin Supreme is. So
No.
After this show, you should go look up who that is.
Okay, all right.
It will enlighten you to why certain people think the Libertarian Party's a joke.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I don't want all of the party to be just performance art, but then again, I'm also really tired of the kind of quest for respectability, because if libertarians ever even get close to achieving our end goal, which is dismantling most or all of the federal government, it doesn't matter what we do. We will not be respectable to anybody in the high places of power, because at that point we would actually be a threat to them.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder if it was the right venue for it here, though, because this is not like, you know, the sort of agreed upon selected candidate versus now other parties, as much as it is like trying to differentiate yourself among other candidates for the same party. Like this is, you know.
I feel like this was actually the perfect time for him to be having these antics, because you can still, there isn't going to be a non-libertarian who's going to watch this entire debate.
That's what I mean, though.
There just isn't one. So you can take clips from it. And so most people will watch the clips, and like the people who want to follow the respectable people, like Mike Termott, who is very professional and suit and tie and exactly by the book, he will end up in those people's feeds. Whereas Toad will end up in the exact people's feeds who you want him to end up in.
Okay. So be true to yourself, so you'll end up represented accurately.
Yeah, because we're all like subject to algorithms. So like you're gonna find ridiculous content if you like view ridiculous things all the time. You're gonna find professional, well-spoken content if you do that if you search for that all the time.
And there's 50 state affiliates, so I don't really see the problem with one affiliate or here and there trying something out of the ordinary. Like if you want that professional buttoned up debate, those exist. You can go out there and find it. And I'm sure some of them are going to be, you know, good looking debates that sound good and are easy to watch. And if respectability and, you know, finding out what public policy these people are going to do if they were president, that will be out there too. This doesn't have to be your thing, but it's out there for anybody who, you know, maybe can't sit through that.
Yep. And I thought it was, go ahead.
As long as we're having conversations and debates that are really only going to be viewed widely within the Libertarian Party, I think that, you know, for as much as people are going to make fun of him, Toad provided a valuable service, even if you don't agree with him, of raising some important questions, or even if you don't agree with his conclusions. I think that it's important for everybody to reckon with what he had to say, because it's what a lot of people with critiques of the Libertarian Party have to say. So you don't have to agree with where he went, but you should consider the points that he was bringing up, especially because it's not like he's embarrassing us to a wider audience.
Correct. And honestly, aside from the shoes thing, he wasn't super embarrassing. Like he actually had some really good points, like you were saying. Some dum-dums were saying he won the debate. In no way, shape, or form did he win anything.
I wouldn't have, went that far, but
yeah, he definitely he's brash, so he points out things in other candidates that other people.
Just because you stand out doesn't mean you won. Like, yeah,
exactly, yeah. But like, you know, he has the ability to point out things in other candidates that most people wouldn't, because he doesn't care and he has nothing to lose by saying
he's
things.
Very like irreverent or whatever. Yeah. And
Alden,
that says something that someone thinks that he won.
Yeah.
He's speaking to those types of people, and he's getting through to certain types of people, so it's then has its own value. Like,
I found it really interesting watching the debate last night when it premiered. on YouTube, being in the comment section and seeing which people thought which people won. And it was like, there's a very left-leaning libertarian in the comment section saying like Chase and Lars dominated the debate, which Chase definitely did well, although I feel like his emotions got the best of him a few times.
He ramped up toward the end quite a bit. He also was given a lot of airtime. He talked, I think, more than most.
He's a talker, so like once he gets on, it's hard to get him off. But like,
I can only do so much there with the clicker.
It's true. At some point, you can just take that clicker and launch it at his face. You could do that to any one of them. But like, and then Josh was in the comment section last night, so I saw that. Yeah, a lot of people thought he won. I do know that I don't know a single person that thought Hornberger or Mike Termott won.
I'm sure we're going to get to this later, but I feel like Hornberger lost.
Yeah, I feel like Hornberger lost. Although watching it, so I've been editing it for 3 days straight. I basically have the whole stinking thing memorized at this point. And upon pondering Hornberger's words more and longer, I don't know that I disagree with him as much as like my gut reaction was to disagree with him. Like the way he says things, he's super passionate, and we're going to get to that here in a second, but it's kind of off-putting at times. But then if you actually sit down and like think on it, some of the things he says are not as crazy as the other candidates and commenters made it out to be.
Is he the one that
absolutely go ahead.
No, it's all right.
He's the one on the very end, on the right.
But as a certain point, I was wondering. No, sorry, I did it twice now. Go ahead, man.
No, I can definitely respect the fact that he is coming from an extremely ideologically pure place, and he believes that all we need to do to convince people is just hit them with the pure libertarian theory, and I just don't think that that's an effective approach. I can respect what he said. I just think that, in order to make people care about the theory, you have to hit them with the practice. And so the fact that he sat up there and said, well, I didn't look into what happened during COVID because it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Well, I can see how exactly what happened during COVID actually is irrelevant to libertarian theory, because the non-aggression principle and free markets and all of the stuff that we like can be defended if COVID and the lockdowns either did or did not happen. Right. But the problem is, in order to make people care about free markets and getting rid of government overreach, you have to make them care, and the best way to make them care is by bringing up the lockdowns.
Yes, and 100%.
Yeah, so this gets into one, is it just a representation of libertarian principles, or is it to appeal to voters? And then the third thing is, I would say here is that like COVID, when it involves the state interfering with the free market and things like that, I think COVID and all of the things surrounding COVID and the decisions made by the people in the state really fucked up the free market for a lot of people. Yeah. And I think it was Chase that brought up a pretty good, just like a small anecdotal example of the florist that lost her job. And Steven, what's up, man?
Hey!
Welcome back.
I'm back.
But the florist that lost her job and then had to eventually just get the job at Lowe's Garden Center, which was deemed, able to be open or vital or whatever the word was that. And anyway, that was just like one small example of what I'm talking about, where it's like, yeah, but you don't have a free market when you have, an event like this, that you have propaganda all over the place. You have ties between government and business. You have ties between government and media and telling the story and getting people on the side of it, to believe it, to support it, to vote for it, to, whatever. And so I think it is, entirely that it's an irrelevant subject. And I hear what he's saying, where he's like, I'm not, in a position, I'm not a professional in that, industry. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not, whatever. Like, and so he personally doesn't like feel he wants to pursue looking into it, but I kind of want, you know, someone in that position that cares enough to at least do a little due diligence.
And that's the thing. You don't have to do an like a full-on investigation.
Yeah, right.
You have to address things, though. If you're going to run for president, you have to address the biggest thing that's happened in our lifetime.
Big blind spot to not,
like that. The answer was idiotic. I thought that was the one dumb answer that he had. All the others
I thought so too.
But yeah, I thought that was terrible.
But I will say
pause
one
for a
positive
second.
thing. Oh, okay.
Steven!
Yeah.
Hey!
Steven, welcome back to the show, man.
So good to be back. Oh,
so
man.
happy to have you on again, man. I love it.
Yeah.
New father. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Heck yeah.
We actually we cranked him out before the midwife could get here too. So it was basically unassisted.
I love it. Good job, Mary. Good job, Mary. All right. Well, how you feeling?
Congrats, man.
How you doing over there?
I'm still not sure what sleep really is. It's kind of a myth. But we're getting there. We're getting there. The little one's still figuring out nights and days, but it's starting to balance out. I went back to work today too, so I took some time off of work. And
okay.
Whew, man.
Well,
it feels good to have a routine.
I've heard lack of sleep and alcohol go really well together. So welcome to the show.
yeah, just ask my blood pressure.
Well, Steven, we're talking about the debate. Did you get a chance to watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched about an hour of it so far.
Okay, nice. Well, let's watch another clip before we go any further. This is a clip of Josh. I'm trying to get everybody a little airtime on the show tonight. This is Josh talking about Texas being able to defend itself.
Some kind of security for their state and some kind of security for their nation. That's the vast majority of people. It's sad. It's true, whether you believe in open borders or not. Now, when I talk about the 10th Amendment, I'm a 10th Amendment guy, full stop. No ands, no ors, no buts. The 10th Amendment is very clear that Texas has the right to defend their sovereignty as a state for any issue that's not mentioned in the Constitution. And guess what's not mentioned in the Constitution when it comes to this idea? It's immigration. Okay, so Texas has been very clear. We think there's an invasion of the border. We had over 6 million people come across last year. 6 million people. We can't vet that. We can't filter that. We can't make sure it's people with bad intentions or not. We can't make sure that there's not Ebola coming across our border. And so, Texas has every right to secede, to tell the federal government to get lost. I live in Iowa right now, and the state of Iowa is currently working on a bill.
All right, that's the gist of it. We talked about Texas seceding last week, maybe the week before. I can't remember, but what are y'all's thoughts on what Josh has to say right there?
Well, he's got a good point. I like what Ken Paxton put out. He was, I don't know if he's former. I know the Texas House at least impeached him last May. I don't know if it was like a full-on thing, but anyways, Ken Paxton either is or was the attorney general for the state, and he put something all over social media. And that was his retort to the Biden administration, when they came out and said that, we're sending federal agents to take down the razor wire. It's unsafe. It's inhumane, blah, blah, blah. Well, he came back and he says, hey, you have sequestered public parks. You don't have the jurisdiction or the purview to do this. Right. You are claiming rights to the Republic of Texas land, and you have until February 15th to produce a deed or a land plat showing such. Otherwise, we will remove your federal agents from our property and continue to defend the Republic of Texas.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm about to join the Georgia Defense Force just so I can maybe go over there.
I love that. Yeah, it was Hornberger also came down on the wrong side of this issue and just said like open borders for everybody. Thing? And Toad pointed he made the reference to like it's the inhumane thing, like putting razor wire out and all this crap. And then Toad just pointed it out immediately and said, would you put like if you put razor wire around your property and someone coming onto your property got caught in it and cut up, is that your fault or their fault? Like it's 100% their fault. Like people have dominion over themselves, so they have the choice to come into the razor wire or not.
There you go.
If they do so, they're injuring themselves. You're not the one injuring them.
And then there is a large structure that is most definitely public land That is the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Why is there razor wire around that?
There we go. Why? That's a great question, Stephen.
You know, because and I agree with the open borders thing. We've talked about this before. That is the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
But with the system that we currently have, you know, with the way taxation is done, with the way many things are done here, there has to be, you have to stem the flow of people coming in. You can't just freely cross over. And it's the way they're being lured over here too. You know, our State Department is putting up billboards and radio ads, telling them how to get here and what they're entitled to once they get here. And, you know,
I think you're the only person to bring that up, even in the debate. It's not just that, you know, we like have a permissive policy of allowing people, but it's like they're encouraging people.
Yes.
You know,
yes. And there's you know, economic policies that we put in place that we knew would destabilize Central and South America. You know, the way we've been devaluing our currency by the unlimited printing, you know, especially during COVID times. Argentina was like, hey, please stop that. You're really hurting us. We are very heavily tied to the dollar. And this is a death sentence for us. And we're like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the whizzing of the printer.
Also, people need to stop tying their currency to the dollar and tie it to Bitcoin or gold. I mean, it's idiotic. Stop doing that. The dollar is inflated so much. Sorry, we're gonna get on that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You know, so yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal would be, you know, free flow over the border, no social security numbers to track the cattle, all that kind of stuff. But we have to swing the pendulum back that way first. With the current system in place, we have to, you know, limit who comes in. It can't just be free flow.
So Laura wants to know if there's a link to talking about the stuff you've just been talking about. She said, did not know that no one else
just
talked about it.
Years and years of conservative talk radio. I could find some, Laura, I'll find some links and get them to you.
Sweet. All right. Well, here's another clip from the debate. It's another Toad clip. It'll be the last Toad clip we watch. Starts out with Lars, but it's because Rumble's scrolling options are terrible. They need to fix them. They're not precise.
The criminal justice system. So,
yeah, Thomas Massey has been an absolute hero on this issue. He's been amazing on it. If it does come out that this footage of this bomb planting was indeed a false flag, I think that would really just prove something that we all already know. Like, we know who Ray Epps was. We know that there was a false flag going on here. We know that it was a provocation. The January 6ers were definitely provoked into doing this, or at least going further than they would have otherwise. But also, I would say that, and I think I'm going to take this further than anybody that's on stage here. The January 6ers, not only did they do nothing wrong, all they did was really walk into a public building, but they're actually heroic in many ways, because they were they were pointing out who basically the worst people on earth are. They were focused right on the worst evil that we have, which is the United States federal government. And they were, I think, specifically upset about their COVID policies for the most part as well. So I think that they are patriots. They're heroic. They should be freed, absolutely, 100%. They're getting absolutely ridiculous sentences for, like I said, walking into a public building.
Except for Ray Epps, who's on house arrest.
Exactly. Ray Epps, yeah. Oh, yeah. It makes sense that he's not being sentenced to really anything for being the instigator of the whole thing. I wonder what's going on there. And I will take it even further than that, and we should make January 6th a national holiday.
There we go.
It's an interesting take, yeah.
It's an interesting take. I agree with him like 80%. Because it wasn't just people just walking in to the building. There were definitely people being violent, which those people should all be prosecuted and thrown in jail or punished in some way. But for the most part, he's right. I mean, it was like a guided ropes tour through the dadgum Capitol.
Yeah. And
a lot of those people are still in jail, which is wild. Anyway, we don't have to dwell on this one unless somebody has something interesting to say. I wonder
if you could make the case for like entrapment almost, or something like come into this building and then arrest them.
There are literally videos of officers taking down the barricades and inviting people to come in.
Yep.
Where it's like people that were there have said that they thought that they had permission to go in because of the cops that were essentially just letting them walk right in.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there were some people being violent, but the people that were just in there.
If you can prove specifically with like you know, whether it's reports or security cam footage or something, that someone was like breaking a desk or like whatever, threatening to hang Pence or whatever someone might have done or said or whatever, then that's an individual case. But just everyone that just like was in the building that was ushered in, no, that's. And then I think it was it Chase that was saying something about a lot of them have been detained for longer than the maximum sentence would even have been at this point, and so that's just ridiculous. So
it's insane.
Yeah, I remember one of the
time in solitary.
Yeah, a lot of them spent a ton of time in solitary. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is literally torture.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember
that
one
brings
of the
it. Oh, go
talking
ahead,
heads
Zane.
on the news. One of the talking heads on the news at the time was like, "Oh, this is way worse than, you know, just breaking into a taco truck or something. This is breaking into the heart of our democracy." And actually, I was like, breaking into somebody's taco truck would be worse because that's somebody's actual private property. You know, if people trespass into the Capitol and break windows or whatever, it's all that's going to happen is that everybody will get taxed a little bit more and the window will be repaired.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
You could make
All
the
right.
case for it. Yeah.
So here's Chase talking about a local issue, which is Cop City.
Signatures. People came together to knock on doors and legitimately make change. Who is the AstroTurf? It's the people supporting police, the Atlanta Police Foundation, because they're not made up of people from Atlanta. They're made up of Home Depot, Delta, Coca-Cola, and a lot of major corporate interests. And so they pump tons of money into the media, tons of money to the AJC and to the media to push that. Oh no, we really need this facility. The people really want this. The people really want this. But if you go out in the streets and you talk to the people of Atlanta, they don't want this. We were there for 13 hours at the city council meeting fighting against it. 4 people spoke for it. 3 of them were friends of the mayor.
What about
so
the
people
people
didn't want it. This
they
is an
would
AstroTurf
argue?
movement. Exactly.
They would argue that
There you go. I like that he brings this up in a debate like this. It's local issue. It's especially for people around Atlanta. It's something that I don't know. I'm pretty passionate about, or at least I keep an eye on it all the time. And he's right. Like all the people in support of these things. When a person like in a position of authority says, you know, we have a ton of support behind this, that doesn't mean the people. It means all of his buddies,
right?
And all of
or
his
like
corporations that
corporate
back his campaign,
funding, yeah,
like that. And it's horrendous. Chase, like, I don't agree with Chase on a lot of things, but man, he does well at conveying certain topics and certain issues. Like
he writes college level essays just orally off the top of his head.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just clear format, 3 points, bam, 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 cite the source. It's just clean and quick.
But he has some great input. He's at the gym moving his big, beautiful body, and we look great tonight. Thank you for that, buddy.
Most college students are terrible writers, so
yeah, that's
how dare you talk about Chase like that?
That's great. That's great.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Claudine Gays that that write really good essays.
Oh
yeah. I was gonna say at one point someone said the word like torture or whatever, like with the solitary confinement, and it reminded me. I don't know if these are one of the clips, but the concept of like the Guantanamo Bay thing, like being like turned into like a basically like a prison for like all the the COVID whatever the people that orchestrated this or whatever.
Yeah, that was
and yeah, Toad and I think Josh were both on that page or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think it was like Hornberger and Chase that were like saying that like maybe I'm mixing this up, but I think they were like, no, like, it's kind of like the eye for an eye, makes the whole world blind thing, like not to like just like do the normal due process thing or whatever, but not to like play into that. I was wondering how you guys feel about
I kind of feel like it's a failure to have a sense of humor if you get too tied up into saying that we shouldn't joke about throwing people in the Guantanamo Bay. Because obviously, if you're having a 100% serious conversation about libertarian theory, then yes, obviously Guantanamo Bay should be closed. It's a crime against humanity that it exists and that people are treated that way.
Yes.
So Josh and Toad were joking.
Not every conversation.
Yes. Okay.
I think that it was obvious to everybody that was watching it.
Except
my bad.
That's
Not everybody, unfortunately.
I don't know. Maybe
I think
I'm
it's
autistic.
one
I don't know.
It's one of those situations like Trump, where it's like you should take what he says seriously, but not literally. So, when Josh says throw people into Guantanamo Bay, he's talking about it's that bad that, I'm being hyperbolic and saying this, but not literally that we should like judiciously throw Fauci into a cell and never check on him again.
Correct.
Or like the artist uses a lie to tell the truth kind of line, but
exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right. We've got Mike Tremont talking about inflation next. I'm just trying to get through some of these.
All right, time for nap time.
So we can...
Jeez.
Get out of here. Get your own.
Come on,
Oh yeah,
dude.
Mike Tremont also dropped his mic at some
I'm
point.
glad you got extra time because that was actually an excellent answer, by the way. I'm glad you brought up the idea of the Fed because I think that some of our answers up here, with all due respect to my esteemed colleagues, left us a little bit wanting. It is true that only 37% of the American public, if you say so, that sounds actually a little high to me, are frustrated with the Fed. That's not the right way to address it. The right way to address it is to remind people that inflation is such, oh God, you are a better human being than I am. You're really a good guy. Okay.
Now he spit on my money.
Yeah.
Okay. The right way.
It's okay.
The right way to address it is to remind people that inflation isn't just naughty, which is something you can hear from Republican or Democrat, but undermines your way of life, undermines your ability to make ends meet, and that the change that we need in this country is at an institutional level. It's not just a matter of replacing one Republican or one Democratic politician for another. That's how you get into the conversation about the Fed.
Yeah. Yeah, I like one thing I do like about Mike, despite him running what he calls a professional campaign, I would call it a non-attention grabbing campaign. He is very calm, and very reasonable and logical when he's talking to people, and he finds his words deliberately. He doesn't just rush to spit a whole bunch of things out. He reminds
when you put him on 2x speed on YouTube, he actually sounds pretty good.
That makes sense. No, it almost reminds me of, I don't know how many of y'all listen to Jordan Peterson regularly, but Jordan Peterson will leave like 10 full seconds of dead air while he ponders what words to use. And it's because he's being so precise in his wording. And that's one thing I do like about him.
He does a weird mix, though, if you ever notice with him, where early on, he'll pause for 10 seconds and then say something. But if you get him fired up, he'll just go, and then he doesn't have an off button. So he's got when the emotions get involved more heavily, then he kind of loses it a little bit. I say this with love and with empathy because I do a similar thing, I think. But
yeah, Mike definitely cries less than Jordan Peterson, though. Jordan Peterson cries in every other interview he does. So.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about with the emotions, though. He's an emotional guy, but
yeah, that's fair. All right, I'm going to skip over a couple. We had Lars talking about COVID. I thought Lars did a fantastic job when he spoke about COVID. Honestly, everybody, if you haven't watched the debate yet, just go watch it because it's great. I'm also going to release just the audio as a podcast on Free Georgia Podcasts, so you'll be able to go listen to it while you drive around. It's easier than watching it. But I thought the debate was fantastic. I thought a lot of people had a lot of great things to say. We can't get through everything on this show because this show's only 2 hours long, and we have other topics to get to. So go watch the daggum debate. We're going to watch 2 more clips. This one was a heated moment between Josh and Chase.
Do you think people should be able to discriminate based on color for their business?
I believe in freedom of association, but here's the truth. While I would prefer to the free market punish racists, I understand that that's not going to change right now. You're not going to get people around eliminating the Civil Rights Act if we haven't proven that libertarian works in a bunch of other areas.
So those people discriminate on your medical status, but not on race.
It is okay to have freedom of association. And I just told you, I want the free market to punish racists. But you know what? We have the Civil Rights Act as it currently exists. And you know what's not going to get rid of it? Us just screaming, get rid of the Civil Rights Act. We have to work on the economy, the immigration system, the workers, and so many other things before we give the proof of concept to people that we can punish racists with the free market.
Mr. Jamal's been waiting patiently for a long time.
Binkley's trying so hard not to crack up laughing. So, first off, I thought Chase was I thought he made excellent points. The way in which he did it,
the opposite of Mike's,
is the opposite, and also I think is not what you want out of a candidate. Just in that he's not
Depends
like that
on
all
who
the
you
time.
ask.
But like, look, I like somebody who's passionate, but I like somebody who's passionate that
with restraint
doesn't seem like they're letting their emotions run them.
Yeah. A lot of people will see it as a sign of weakness to an extent.
Well, yeah, you can get him on certain hot button issues, and he's literally shaking.
Yes.
So,
yeah, and like that kind of stuff needs to be reined in and tempered, because the issue with running on that much emotion is you have erratic behavior and you don't always stick to what you're supposed to be sticking to. And so that was my biggest issue.
There was a few times a few different people got a little heated.
I mean, Hornberger, every time that dude talks,
yeah,
heated.
he came to mind the most, man.
Yeah, but to be fair, Chase made excellent points in that, like, we have to fix things that people can see in everyday life that people feel like matter to their personal life at any given moment before we can go after something like the Civil Rights Act. Because I would say a vast majority of Americans consider the Civil Rights Act a triumph, which libertarians don't consider that. But you can't be attacking things that everyone thinks is a victory and expect people to come to your side. And so he's right. He's right in that regard.
It's another example of needing to combine the theory and the practice, because while it is possible to defend, the repeal of the Civil Rights Act purely on the principle of freedom of association,
but the optics are bad.
It would be favorable to point out all the ways that the Civil Rights Act is not achieving the things that people want it to. But, he's saying that we're not going to convince people to want to repeal the Civil Rights Act just by shouting about it. That goes for most of the federal bureaucracy, where we've got all this stuff in place and there's kind of an order to which we need to get rid of it, and we probably need to get rid of a bunch of other stuff first before we seriously think we're going to get rid of that.
Right.
This is why I tend to think that decentralization and secession of states is probably a more effective way of dismantling the entire bureaucracy, rather than trying to convince everybody in the country to start rolling it back by voting people in that will roll it back one law at a time.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
I just hope that threats of secession don't become like the new congressional hearing. Like when they brought Roger Clemens in there, like, hey, were you juicing? And he's like, why am I in front of Congress right now? I play baseball. And it's one of those things where, like, you don't have to show up. You don't have to respect that stuff. Just look at when they try to get Zuckerface in there a couple times, and what's his face with Google? There's, I'm busy. I got a board meeting. Not doing that.
Yeah.
What's the recourse? So just hope it doesn't come to hollow threats. Now, do I actually want secession? Maybe. It sounds pretty good. The more states keep signing on to this standing with Texas thing. What are we at now? 25?
I thought 28. I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I thought it was 28. But yeah, I mean, I like. First of all, if you're going to threaten secession, you have to be serious about it, and you have to have thought it all the way through, because that could lead to some very poor results, and you have to do it in a very tactful way. If you are serious about it and you are threatening it, you have to be okay with following through. It can't just be what what's the word? Like a bluff.
Like
It can't
a
just be a bluff. Yeah. And you have to have a plan for what you're going to do once those federal agents show up to your border of your state. And I like the idea of threatening secession to the federal government, because I think the federal government is maybe the worst organization in the history of mankind. But I also, since we live here, I kind of fear for what might happen. So
for like the real people's lives that live in these states too, and what that can look like on the ground.
My friends, all my friends,
all they need is the reason. All they need is, a little bit of chaos. Just they need, everything's already a powder keg, has been for 10 plus years.
Yep.
All they need is that little push to make it kinetic. And, with Biden in there, he would flip that switch so quick. He would federalize the National Guard and, all the federal police forces. He would have them deployed, and all he would have to do is start suffering some casualties. He declares it an international emergency, and in come the UN Blue Hats.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they've already been training here since at least Bush was president.
Yep. All right, we're gonna get to the final clip of the debate that we're gonna show tonight. So this is Binkley asking Chase another question, and since we're in Georgia, I thought we'd give Chase a little more airtime. Here we go.
So Chase, this leads to the bonus question. You told me the other day you knew how you're going to take on Trump on the general stage. Yes. And you're going to out Trump. And the attacks that would be coming if you were to see him on the debate stage, how would you handle those attacks?
The way you handle bullies, you go right at them. That's how you stop a bully. So if Donald Trump's going to be coming at me, I'm going to remind him, listen, Donald, you said all sorts of BS in the past. You said, I'm going to eliminate the debt in 8 years, and then you blew up the debts and deficit. You said, I'm going to defend you, but yet there's still tons and tons of violence around here. You keep saying all this BS, but everybody can see exactly right through it, because ever since the 1980s, you've been a grifter, you've been a liar, you've been a con man, and don't pretend like you aren't. Just admit. Say it to his face. Say it right.
Say it to his face. You wanted me on the debate stage. So I came out here.
This is the first debate stage Donald Trump has appeared at all year, ladies and gentlemen.
The other one's just a gigantic joke. I'm glad to see that you guys got Frog as your front runner. It's been a very entertaining debate. You've all done a great job. The whole New Deal. Thank you. It's a little worn out. It started about 40 years ago. But I like the name. I like where you're going with it. And I always love a good Josh. So I like to see that you guys have a member of Metallica here as well. So I just want to know how you're going to take shots at me. If you're going to go after the king, you best not miss. That's my question.
I'll challenge you a foot race. How about that?
I'll get Deion Sanders as my proxy.
Say, man, we got 1% camera on TV.
All right, well,
Wait, we're going to.
Are we actually entering the question?
Donald Trump can't think of anything to say.
So my website, by the way, is actually towergamepod.com. You call it Tower Game Podcast. Donald Trump, if you are running for president, I will challenge you to give us a little October surprise and submit a picture of your penis to Tower Game for the October competition. We will
Is this an actual thing?
It is, unfortunately.
I don't even know what
A picture of your hand will do.
Don't do it. For the record.
I thought that was for adult friend finder.
The first ever October 12th. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Great job.
All right, that was
Was Toad barefoot?
Toad was barefoot the entire time. Toad was barefoot the whole daggum thing. So that was Brad Binkley's idea. That's one of Brad's buddies. He was on his show the other night. They had a debate recap. Thought that was a fantastic way to end it. And yeah, I think that everybody involved, I think, did a great job. I thought Clint and Binkley were fantastic moderators, and I thought all the candidates had really good moments. Not all of them did well the entirety of it, but
Trump
they all
won,
had
though.
moments. Trump won the debate, sadly.
Yeah.
Casually Mental says, "Is it me or was Rechtenwald tame this debate?" He was kind of tame. He didn't fly off the handle very often.
One or two little spikes.
Yeah, but it was also those were the times when he was also being attacked from multiple directions.
Yeah.
Honestly, the people I remember most, sadly, I remember Toad. So in that way, he may have won. But I remember Chase, I remember Lars, and I remember Josh the most. Hornberger, I kind of just shut out at some point in time.
Josh had a good presence for sure. You know, he definitely had like the poise and the posture.
Yeah, I do, and I like Josh. He and Mike were flirting the whole daggum time. He and Mike Tremont were just touching each other and laughing and giggling in the corner.
They're whispering stuff in each other's ears while the other one was trying to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got a bromance going on. But overall, I thought the debate was fantastic. I don't know. What are y'all's final thoughts on it before we move on?
I liked your in the comments, like as it was airing live, that you were talking about you liked a little bit of what all of them had to say, and that you wanted like a what did you say a Frankentarian?
A Frankentarian
of like
Frankentarian of all 7 of their best qualities.
I really do appreciate I can appreciate the position of pretty much any of them on different subjects, and I don't have like a super clear like one stood out to me from the pack winner. I was curious what you guys kind of thought, but
yeah. I mean, for me, go ahead, Zane.
Oh, the problem with trying to say who won or lost the debate is that you're obviously going to be incredibly biased by who you liked better going in, unless you had never heard of anybody going in. But then you'd still probably think the one that agrees with you the most won. So unless somebody does extraordinarily well or does extraordinarily poorly, I always, whenever I hear the talking heads on the news say that they think that somebody won one of the primary debates or one of the general election debates, it's like, well, obviously you're just saying that because you like them.
Or that they were told to say that.
Yeah.
But, I'm just glad that we got the opportunity to do this recap because nobody cares what the candidates have to say. The people yearn for what I have to say.
Perfect.
There we go. The no cat recap.
Yeah, and
I just watched the video for your clicking, really.
Yeah, that's pretty much
that's it.
If I'd actually zoomed out on one of the camera angles, we could have seen your arm come up into frame like every 10 seconds. Just your arm, click, 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 click. So sadly, I made you not the star of the show, Zane. You could have been the star.
That was a mistake.
All right, let's move on to our biggest topic of the night, which is our Warhawks getting their shot at Iran at last. Let's go ahead and bring up the first article here. So, man, that is so tiny on my screen. I'm going to pull it up on my screen over here so I can actually read it. Let's see. So last week, there was a drone strike that killed 3 U.S. soldiers. You can go to the next one, Zach. And 2 of them were Georgians. I thought 3 of them were Georgians. I thought all 3 of these guys were Georgians, or these folks.
I thought so too.
The first guy.
They were all serving in Georgia.
Yeah, but 2 of them one's from Waycross, one's from Savannah, and it says William Rivers is from Willingboro. So there's William Rivers, Kennedy Sanders, and Breonna Moffett all died. And yeah, people are now using this. We'll get to this in a second, but basically 3 Georgians died in the Middle East for literally no reason whatsoever.
I think he is from Georgia. It looks like he's from Carroll County.
Okay, good. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So this is what they're now using to start what they've wanted to do for a very long time, which is go to war with Iran. Let's see. What's the next I think the next one's Justin Amash's tweet. It says offensive military operations without congressional authorization in Syria, Iraq, or elsewhere are unconstitutional and unlawful. Before ordering acts of war, a president needs the express approval of the people's representatives in Congress. Any order that disregards the separation of powers is definitely a high crime.
Well,
all right.
Obama showed us he's got what 45 days. You know, it's you can move them over there and they can retaliate.
Yeah,
and he's got like 45 days to get congressional approval. Otherwise, he has to put them back where they were.
Yeah, like did that actually happen? That's the real question.
Oh yeah, well that's what I'm saying. Obama taught us that he did it a whole bunch.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, he repeated 45 days. So it starts over as soon as they get back. You can send it back again.
Pretty much. It's like they have to report their stock trades, right? They get 30 days or 90 days to do that. And they're like, well, what's the fine for not doing it? Oh, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like getting your visa extended and on vacation. It's like I need to go over the border for an hour.
Right.
Well, so I actually do like one part about this. So a couple years ago, when Shane was running for governor of Georgia, he went up to Michigan to their convention, their LP convention, and after hours, on camera, on a cell phone camera, had an argument with Justin Amash, who supported AUMF action. So basically like authorized use of military force. Didn't see anything wrong with it, but now it seems as though libertarians have finally changed his mind on this, and he is supporting the correct thing, which is you have to declare war in order to send troops anywhere. So I like that part of it for Amash, that he spent enough time around libertarians at this point to know that AUMF is a terrible way to do things and immoral. And Shane argued with him heavily and just ripped him to shreds in his podcast, and then apologized, realizing that Amash was a new libertarian and he shouldn't have attacked him so hard.
He wasn't a new libertarian, though. He was new to the Libertarian Party, but he was a Ron Paul guy, and that's sort of what he came out of.
Yeah, but not everybody who's a Ron Paul guy was a libertarian, because Ron Paul was running on a Republican ticket, and like
he's kind of like a bridge guy.
Even people who supported him back then, not everybody, obviously, but there were some people who still had no idea what the Libertarian Party was.
Yeah,
like
a lot of
there are people now who
were in the Occupy movement as well.
Yeah,
that's like it wasn't until Ron Paul made his big surge that it was until then that I heard the term libertarian socialist or left-leaning libertarian. I'm like, wait a second, what kind of spectrum is that? Because
that's the snake that ate its own tail and went all the way back.
Like an Amish assassin. They don't match.
Or a Janus
in my opinion, like I like Amash and I'm glad he came around, but he should have known better than anybody at the time. It shouldn't have taken Shane to argue with him or whatever.
Well, I agree. I
applaud someone changing their position, though. In general,
I do too.
I'm very happy he's come around to this aspect of it.
Because I think we live in a culture that expects you to stick to your guns and like don't be wishy-washy, and like I don't like when people dig their heels in and double down on something just because they've like been publicly like out as saying a thing or whatever. So I always want to just encourage people to like it's okay to like talk to someone else and change your mind. Like it's a good thing sometimes.
I meant to say this earlier. A sponsor of the convention was Rabbit Eye Wine. I highly recommend. It is blueberry wine. Highly recommend if you like wine, go out and get some frickin' Rabbit Eye wine.
Is that Will's wine?
Yeah, Will's.
Yeah. I only met him the once on here, but
he didn't make it to convention, but he sent some cases of it with Buddy, and Buddy, I got ended up getting a bottle.
I want to try this.
Good Lord, I'll bring it up. Okay,
right on.
Rabbit Eye Wine, y'all, go get it. It'll if anybody's
3
ever
pounds
watched
of blueberries per bottle.
Exactly.
How
if
dry
anybody's
is
ever
it?
watched Parks and Rec, you'll remember that Adam Scott got drunk on blueberry wine, and it was one of the funniest things to ever happen on TV. All right, let's go to Dave DeCamp's tweet, and we're going to go to antiwar.com directly after that. Dave DeCamp, who's been on the show, says U.S. officials tell CBS plans for targeting the Iranian military in Iraq and Syria have been approved. This could be the beginning of a major war. And let's go straight to antiwar.com, please. This is none of this is good news, y'all. None of this is good news. Let's start this video. Let's just watch the first 3 minutes 48 seconds, please. Start from the beginning.
Or
Zach.
don't. But the fact that most of these reports I'm
Zach,
reading about
that's not the beginning.
and these U.S. officials telling NBC.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, that's where you sent it to me.
Yeah,
Hey,
I didn't know
Dave
that.
DeCamp from antiwar.com. This is anti-war news for Thursday, February 1st, 2024. All right, the first story at the top of antiwar.com today. The U.S. plans a weeks-long bombing campaign on Iranian targets. So U.S. officials told NBC News that the U.S. is planning to launch a weeks-long bombing campaign in the Middle East in retaliation for the drone attack in northeast Jordan that killed 3 American soldiers. So the officials said that the targets are expected to include Iranian targets outside of Iran, and the campaign will involve strikes and cyber operations. Other reports have said the U.S. is considering targeting Iranians in Iraq and Syria or targeting the Iranian Navy. So this is very concerning because we're not going to know what they're going to do until they do it. We're not going to know if they're going to target the Iranian military until they do or don't. But the fact that most of these reports I'm reading about the planning and these U.S. officials telling NBC that this is what they're probably going to do, it's not good. And you know they're not considering bombing Iran, the country, which I guess that's good, but still direct attacks on the Iranian military could provoke a full-blown war between the U.S. and Iran, and who knows what that could turn into. There's a lot of U.S. bases in the Middle East that Iran can hit.
All right, you can pause. You can pause it there, Zach.
And
yeah, so it's one of the worst things that we could do, in my opinion, is provoke Iran and actually get in a hot war with them. I mean, it's crazy to me that this is all stemming from from the recent actions. It's all stemming from soldiers being we're stationing them where they're not supposed to be, getting killed by a drone from people that we're not supposed to be fighting. And it's going to end up but it's going to end up giving us the option to fight other people that we shouldn't be fighting, because Iran didn't actually drop the bomb on our soldiers. It was another group entirely. And they said, we know that Iran funds these kinds of groups. They didn't say we have evidence that Iran funded these groups and was responsible for the bombing.
Are there weapons of mass destruction under their houses, though?
Well, that's exactly the
classic shell game where somebody in Iran might have bought one of these guys a sandwich one time, and then the entire military-industrial complex goes, "Oh no, they're Iran-backed."
Yeah.
Or even better, it's just like, well, Zane punched my dog. No, he didn't. Yeah, but it's Zane. I mean, he would do that. That's what we're basically saying. It's like, yeah, well, Iran denied it, but they're Iran, so of course they're the bad guy. We can't believe them.
Yep.
That seems to be.
Well,
so I like
doing things. If you believe the official narrative, they're doing things through their proxy group. One of their proxy groups, anyways, the Houthi rebels out of Yemen, which we have been bombing the dog crap out of Yemen nonstop for 15 years that I know of. You don't make friends that way. Now, how long have we been going tit for tat with those guys? I don't really know. I just know that we shouldn't have been over there to begin with to open that can.
There we go.
I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg kind of thing, because I hear some people say that Iran has never been the aggressor since they were the Persian Empire. Well, bull crap. In the 80s, you got the Lockerbie bombing that was put on by Ayatollah Khomeini, right?
Yep.
And they're like, oh, well, that wasn't state sanctioned. I don't think you understand what an Ayatollah is. So,
and by the way,
they're not innocent either. So let's just keep that in mind. But yeah, we shouldn't be over there for them to pick on us.
Yeah. Yep. By the way, I heard briefly, and I don't know if it's true or not true. It's developing, it seems like, but from Judge Napolitano's show, he was saying that people are speculating that it wasn't a drone, and there's no way a drone could have made it into the base, even if what they say was true, that they're waiting on an American drone to return, and that it was probably a missile. I don't know. That's something I heard very briefly before the show.
Something else.
And if it is drone related and Iran's tied to it, I remember in the final Obama years, we basically gave them our most sophisticated UAV surveillance drone.
I think
I was gonna.
Like, I remember back when I was a kid, like hearing about the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. You think of like mud huts or something in the desert. But it's like, they're not. These are modern countries, a lot of them, and especially Iran. Like, they have hypersonic missiles. They're not going to be goat herders in the Hindu Kush like we're used to.
Yes.
Right.
And, if we go to war with them, there's a very good chance that the rest of the Middle East and maybe even Russia and maybe even China are going to come to their defense.
Yes.
So what they're screwing around with is very serious and could end in a regional war, if not a world war.
They would have to come to their defense pretty quick, though, because we took down Iraq, 7 minutes? It was 9 minutes the first time around and 7.5 under Bush. Iran might last 20 minutes. So, I mean,
in that 20 minutes, how many nukes did they fire? How many hypersonic missiles did they get off?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot of automatic stuff going off. And
then if, I don't know, will China take kindly to 20 minutes and Iran's destroyed, or are they going to step in?
I sense a speed running opportunity.
Perfect. Zane, why don't you head that up, man?
If we're going to play the game of they were backed by so-and-so, if you play that game long enough, they were backed by us and the CIA, probably.
Correct.
So that doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, well, that's how we know they got their funding through Iran, because it's the CIA dressed up as Iranian Defense Force or National Guard, whatever it is.
Keeping books.
Handing off the duffel bags.
Right.
Iranian Revolutionary Guard, I think.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. The article that Jake pulled up said something about a drone suicide bomb. How do you have a drone suicide bombing? That doesn't make sense. I thought drones were unmanned.
They were selling them on Alibaba just 2 weeks ago.
Alden, machines now have souls and feelings, and you can, if it kills itself, then it's a suicide bomb.
Yeah, drones are worth more than us.
Sure.
Oh, I was thinking that the drone pilot just killed himself after the target was acquired.
He felt so bad. Yeah.
It's a dead man switch, so as soon as the drone blows up, he blows up with it.
But in all seriousness, I don't get that.
It's not a suicide bomb. It's literally just
a bomb bombing.
It's just a bomb bombing.
But
bomb
bombing. I don't mean that.
How many new countries can we introduce to war within a 2-year time period?
All of them.
At least 12.
It's pretty obvious they've been wanting this for a while.
Yeah,
I know.
Watch Top Gun Maverick.
Over the past 2 years, we've got Russia, Ukraine, Israel. Can we just recognize Palestine and say it's a country? Palestine.
Sure,
yes. Now we're doing Iran, Yemen, Saudi Arabia.
Don't forget Iceland. If Iceland joins NATO, they're already at war.
And Texas.
No, don't bring Iceland into this. Come on. I don't want that to happen. I love Iceland.
Well, if they sign on to NATO, Russia is at war with them.
Finland is in there. Dude, we're just so stupid. We're just so freaking stupid.
Including all the crap we probably don't even think about day to day. Like, I bet we're doing stuff in Niger. I bet we're doing stuff all over Africa in places we couldn't even name or point out on a map.
100%. Somalia.
Places that you couldn't point out on a map.
Shut up, Zane. Shut up, trivia. Okay. Let's extend it further. Let's go to the next freaking article, Zach. U.S. troops put on standby for potential U.S. ground involvement in Gaza. So this is from antiwar.com. this article basically says that we're not deployed yet on the ground in Gaza, but we are on standby to join Israeli attacks in Gaza.
So is
So
this
is
where we
that
start
like
the
when you try
hashtag?
to flush the toilet halfway?
Right. I was gonna say, is this where we start the hashtag David Duke was right? Ooh.
Oh, that does not sound like a good hashtag to start.
But I mean, we're coming to their aid.
If you combine Steven and Zane's comment, you get David Dookie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Grumpy, we're in what 187 countries. So yeah,
Well,
we're
I think this
everywhere, man.
This attack that killed the 3 from Georgia, was that not in Jordan?
It was in Jordan.
I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what he's referring to.
Oh, see, that's what's grumpy. Okay.
Yeah.
Zane, how many countries are there?
I think
Depends on who you ask.
true.
If you ask me, there are about 190.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we give money to all of them. That's crazy. Like if
Do
you
you
go
not
look,
recognize Sealand?
that was included in the count.
Okay, cool. So yeah, y'all, like we're now putting troops on the ground to aid Israel firsthand in fighting against Palestinians in Gaza. Like,
yeah,
what are we even doing? Like, okay, let's just go to the next clip because I don't like agreeing with Mike Pompeo, but we're gonna have to agree with Mike Pompeo for a minute. So let's just go to the next clip. I know. Let's do it. Just play it. Freaking stupid Mike Pompeo.
When I was a Secretary of State traveling, no, I mean serious. I'd watch CNN when I come over here. It boggles my mind. When I was a Secretary of State traveling, I'd flip on CNN, and I was hard to figure out what hallucinogen they were taking. It was so disconnected from the reality. Let's go through each of those for just a moment. Was there a war in Europe on Trump 1? Anybody? Was there? I mean, these are facts. You asked for a crystal ball. I'm a data guy. I'm an engineer by training.
Well, the yellow vests.
Or in Europe. Why was that? Because Donald Trump was a Russian asset? That's what CNN would have told you for 2.5 years, right? Anybody remember? I did. I lived it. I suffered from that. It made life very difficult for those of us trying to execute along with our friends in the region. So flip off CNN. I don't mean flip them off. I mean turn the channel. All
right, we can pause it here, and I'll just give you a summary.
Who's Mike Pompeo?
Take a look at the Middle East. Was there?
So how odd is it that Republicans were on the receiving end of what HUAC did in the 50s? Huh? It's almost like it doesn't feel good.
It's wild, man. I mean, I freaking hate Mike Pompeo, but
I don't know who he is.
He was Secretary of State during Trump.
Oh,
and basically what he's saying here is that, and this is sorry, I'm not as good at this these days. There we go. All right. Was the world better off with Trump is basically what the question he is posing here, or he's saying it was, and it's hard to deny some of the evidence that the world may have actually been better off with Donald Trump in the presidency.
Would you rather have syphilis or herpes? One of them can be suppressed, right?
But they're both bad.
But they're both bad. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That was actually the most annoying question in the debate, that 3 of the people answered and 4 of the people did not answer, like gave politician-y answers.
I didn't like that question, to be honest, but
no, it was so I talked to Binkley and Russell Clint beforehand, and like that was a question meant. So the question was, who was a worse president, Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think they asked it best, right?
No, they
or
said
better, not best. Okay.
No, I
thought it was the opposite.
Well, either way, it doesn't matter. The point is,
the question is the same whether it's in the negative or the positive.
The point of the question was there is a correct answer, because the world was a much safer place. Weirdly, with
it was
Trump
more stable. It was more stable,
and so there were multiple. I mean, Trump did some terrible things, but Biden has let everything just go to complete crap. And so there is an objective answer that Trump that Trump as president is better than Biden as president. And the point of the question during the debate was to get them to not say a politician-y answer. And so 4 out of the 7 said they're both the exact same. They both do bad things. Just flip a coin. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It does. It actually does matter. Like, they're not the same thing. Trump is being indicted and trying to be thrown in prison by the people in Washington, D.C. of the federal government. And so, like, they're not the same person, because Biden will never have that happen to him, because he is part of the swamp. Like, while Trump does idiotic things and didn't follow through on like 80% of what he said he was going to do, he is a threat to what we consider the swamp in the state.
He's like a drunk dad that you expect on Christmas to get everything he promised you would get, but he like woke up with a hangover and forgot, and you got socks. You know what I mean? Like, of course he's not going to follow through on everything he says. It's not even possible.
Yeah.
But also, I feel
No
like
need
the
to get
question,
personal.
I feel attacked. Yeah. No, but there's I don't care for the question in a sense that, like, I feel like it gives too much power even to just like the one man and the position. And there's so many things going on in the world, and I think the president is just a puppet for the most part anyway of other people and organizations that.
Well, and if you listen to Sky News for the last 3 years, you know, the Australian conservative outlet, this banned basically everywhere. It's the Australian version of the Epoch Times, I think. But they say Biden just walks around in his pajamas playing arcade games and eating ice cream and taking naps.
Wait, I thought that makes you a good president.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay. I wish that were the case, because then things wouldn't be deteriorating at this rate.
Right.
You know, he's doing something. Someone's putting a pen in his hand, and he's signing some papers eventually.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think the strongest evidence that Trump actually is at least a little bit of a threat to the establishment is that the establishment clearly thinks that he's a threat to the establishment, or else they wouldn't be trying so desperately to kick him off the ballot and put him in jail. Right? Because we can all understand that he's not nearly as big of a threat as many other people think that he is, because he's incapable of taking any real action against them. But when people say, oh, Trump is just as much a part of the swamp as, you know, the Clintons are, and then they point to a picture from 10 years ago with Trump and the Clintons at some wedding, and they're all standing around laughing and smiling.
Or like it's with like Epstein or something.
It's like that was 10 years ago, and things have happened in the previous 10 years.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Well, it seems like some people believe that there's just an arc to history, and things are going to happen about the same no matter who's in charge. And it does seem like when it comes to economics and monetary policy, that's basically true with Republicans and Democrats. Like, they're both awful. They both cause the same problems. And we'd be probably having inflation if Trump were president right now. It doesn't seem quite the same with foreign policy as much when it comes to, like, the Democrats are basically all neocons now, and Trump was at least like a wild card. So I don't know that it's certain we would be in all of these wars and all these conflicts would be popping up, because it really seemed like they were going for them. Like, we're going to wrap up in Afghanistan somewhat because Ukraine's kicking off. That almost seemed like too convenient that they happened back to back. Right. It's like, we're going to end this one, but don't worry, you know, the military industrial complex is still taken care of, maybe even more so in this one we got coming.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump would have done that.
And the shady places we're fighting wars now just happen to be the places he's getting his shady money from.
Right. Yep. That's so weird. It's just so many coincidences, man. Life is so crazy. Life's so strange.
It really is.
All right, y'all. I think it's that time. Zach, what do you think? All right, y'all. It is Libations trivia. Steven, you're back on the board, man. Are you excited? Are you so excited about this?
Yeah. Well, hey, I helped the audience win the other night, so
perfect. You did help the audience win the other night. All right. Tonight's topics are this day in history, Jake's favorite movies, and mongooses.
Mongai?
Mongai, you know the rules. All these people here know the rules. Audience, you can participate. You can win. And if you win, you are no longer a loser. So congratulations. Before we get started, actually, Trevor, who is not, I've never seen him comment in here before, says if Trump went to Magic City after leaving Fulton County Jail, I believe he would have drained the swamp, but sadly he did not. Yeah.
Is that a strip club?
That's fair.
Yes, it is a strip club, and it's also rated the best chicken wings in Atlanta.
I feel like he would gone to the Claremont Lounge.
That's why Steven goes to strip clubs, just for the wings.
Just for the
wings.
wings.
I have had the prime rib buffet at the Pink Pony before, and it was delicious, but you have to sit in a strip club with the lights on. And that's,
okay. That's weird. All right, let's move on from that. The 2024 scoreboard, Zane has won twice. The audience and Zach tied last week. So we have 3 victories, 3 times we've played so far this year. This will be number 4 because we didn't play last week. That was the one we didn't play because I was busy. Round number 1, this day in history. Question number 1. On this day in 1960, 4 black college students staged a sit-in at a whites-only lunch counter. In what city did this take place? Zane.
That was not the question I thought you were going to ask.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Raleigh.
Incorrect. Steven.
Nashville.
Incorrect. Zach.
Birmingham.
Incorrect. Alden, it's to you, buddy.
Charleston.
No, I love that everybody's picking this side of the country. You are all correct. It's this side of the country. Zane.
Winston-Salem.
No. Zach.
I was going to pick the other side of the country, and now I got to reorient myself. Huntsville.
No. Steven and Alden? Y'all got guesses?
Savannah.
Once you don't get this incorrect, Steven. If you don't get this,
Knoxville?
nope. All right, it is in South Carolina.
I was closer with my first
Zane.
guess.
Columbia.
No. Steven.
Aiken.
Wait, let me make sure it's in South Carolina.
That would be. I actually want it to not be.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
Nope,
awesome.
nope. It's in Kentucky.
It is in North Carolina. Back open to the floor. It's in North Carolina. Alden.
Pebble Beach.
Incorrect.
Damn
Zane.
Charlotte.
Can I go again?
Zach, is that you?
I guess. Asheville.
No.
That doesn't sound right.
Steven. Zach, this is not. Doing this is not. I don't know what this is. You're just doing weird things with your hands. Steven, it's to you, buddy.
We've already said Raleigh, haven't we?
Yeah, Steven doesn't get it. We're moving on.
Neptune Beach.
Incorrect. It is Greensboro. They became known as the Greensboro 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. It's actually surprising y'all didn't know that.
That's in North Carolina.
That is in
It
North
was the
Carolina.
one city in North Carolina I didn't say.
It's surprising that Zane didn't know that.
I knew it wasn't
Not
North
surprised at
Carolina.
myself.
I didn't know it was in Greensboro.
I thought Greensboro. Maybe there's another one, but I thought it was in Alabama.
All right. On this day in 2002, a terrorist group in Pakistan murdered what journalist? I think that was Steven.
Nope, I retracted.
Okay, Zane.
I retracted.
You can...
Someone whose last name is Muhammad.
Incorrect.
It's the most common name on earth. Read a fucking book.
Alden.
Peter Jennings.
Incorrect. Zach, it's to you. Or no, it's Zach or Steven because Steven retracted.
What journalist?
All right. He's not as well known as I thought. So
Daniel Pearl.
Daniel Pearl is correct.
I didn't know that happened in Pakistan though. So
yeah, it was Pakistani.
You sure it wasn't Peter Jennings?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there we go. On this day in 1913, multi-sport star Jim Thorpe signed a contract with what MLB team? Zach.
The Phillies.
Incorrect. Zane.
The Boston Braves.
Incorrect. I like that answer though. Steven.
The Red Sox.
No.
Okay.
Alden, it's to you, bud.
Yankees? I don't know.
Incorrect. So this is a hard one. They're no longer in this city.
Oh.
They are still a team. Zach.
The Brooklyn Dodgers.
No, great guess though. Zane, I think.
Oh, I was
And
gonna
Alden.
say the Dodgers.
All right, Alden.
Lakers.
No, that's basketball, man.
Oh, my brain crossed the wire. I said baseball the first time, but then I just started thinking of teams that moved. Like,
that's fair.
Wow, dumb moment.
Zane, Steven,
I'm trying to think.
I've been to Jim Thorpe, but do not know about him.
Jim Thorpe was incredible.
I'm stumped.
Zane.
The New York Giants.
New York Giants is correct, Zane. Bravo.
Where did they move from?
They moved from New York to San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
That's why if you ever hear somebody refer to the modern day New York Giants as the New York Football Giants, that was the clarification that used to be needed because the more famous team used to be the baseball team.
That does make sense, actually. Okay.
That is absolutely correct, Zane.
I
Good
always
job,
wondered, I was
man.
like, why are they, like, we all know it is. Why are we saying that? That's so funny. Thank you for that.
Gosh, I love that you knew that, Zane. That's amazing.
Trivia on top of trivia.
On this day in 2013, what was the first ever streaming show to air? Zane.
Liberty Libations.
Incorrect.
Can you repeat it?
On this day in 2013, what was the first ever streaming show to air? Steven?
The Joe Rogan podcast?
No, this is not a podcast.
No,
this
is
a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
right.
okay.
The TV show. It's back open to the floor at this point because Zane clearly thought it was a podcast since we've been around that long. Alden.
Is it House of Cards?
House of
Whoa.
Cards.
Nice.
The first ever streaming show on Netflix, and it changed the game. Forever.
David Fincher, right? I think directed the first couple episodes.
David Fincher directed the first two episodes.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey, the weirdo, starred in the first 4 seasons. And they still promote that show, which is very interesting. It's very interesting, actually. All right. Question number 5. On this day in 2004, who exposed themselves on national TV? Alden.
Oh, Janet Jackson, right?
Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm not sure if I agree with the verb choice there because I'm not
Someone
sure that she
exposed
exposed
her.
herself.
I
Yeah.
am 100%
I
on
hear
the
you.
bandwagon that she planned that with him. So
I think so.
she
I
took
think
part
so.
in it on purpose.
Yeah. It was
Oh, well,
choreographed.
as long as we're talking about conspiracies.
Brian says Kevin Spacey still does the character in interviews and stuff.
Yeah, we talked about
Yeah,
that.
we talked about that a couple weeks ago, Brian. He
Yeah.
is just I think he had a
He's a
mental
strange
break,
guy.
man. He lost his mind.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Question number 6. On this day in 1790, the very first official gathering of which entity occurred in the Royal Exchange Building in NYC? Zane.
The New York Stock Exchange.
Incorrect. Alden.
The Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court, presided over by John Jay.
All right.
That is correct. All right. Question number 7. On this day in 1979, who returned from exile to their homeland after 15 years? Zane.
Oh, shoot. Nelson Mandela.
Incorrect. It's Steven.
Ayatollah Khomeini.
It's not.
Zane doesn't even know.
As soon as you mentioned that earlier, I was like, oh, Steven's going to get this trivia question.
Zane doesn't even know that Nelson Mandela died in prison.
All right. On this day in 1884, referenced by millions, if not billions, over the last 140 years, which book made its debut? Zach.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Incorrect.
Too old, right?
Steven, did you raise your hand?
Yes.
The book.
Steven.
Gone with the Wind.
Incorrect. I'll give a hint once everybody answers incorrectly, which you all will. Zane.
A Christmas Carol.
Incorrect. Alden, make your
You
dumb.
say a book 1884 that what people reference or something?
Referenced by millions, if not billions, over the last 140 years. Which book made its debut?
Yeah, I guess that was a stupid answer on my part, considering she's still alive.
I mean, aren't a lot of books referenced? I don't know. It doesn't separate it enough for me. I don't know.
Do you have a guess, or are you going to pass?
I mean, no.
All right. The hint is it is not a novel. Steven.
The King James Bible.
Incorrect.
It
is also, yeah, no, can't give another hint because Steven just answered. Who's next?
What was? Wait,
Alden.
your hint was that.
Wait, what?
Alden.
Oh, I thought Zane was asking a question and I wanted to hear
My
it.
hint was it's not a novel.
Okay.
Is it a poem?
I'm not answering questions.
Okay.
You're answering my question.
Is it Edgar Allan Poe or something? I don't even know if that's the right time.
Incorrect. Zane,
Okay.
Zane, Zach, y'all got something?
We don't read.
The
apparently.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Incorrect.
It is a reference book.
Zane, Zach?
No, pass.
All right, Alden.
The dictionary?
The Oxford
Yeah.
Dictionary.
What? When you said the encyclopedia, I was like, wait a minute, maybe billions have referenced. Yeah, I was like, that's a lot of people.
The referenced was a.
Now I get
was
it.
The clue. in that
When you
question.
said not a novel, I was like, what are we talking about? Okay. It's a volume or whatever. Like,
Yeah. Question number 9. On this day in 1887, Harvey Wilcox officially registers what entity with the LA County Recorder's Office?
What was the year?
1887. This is one I did not know, and I should have known.
Who was it?
Harvey Wilcox. Steven.
McDonald's?
No. It's a good guess, but no.
it registered a corporation, you said?
Entity with the LA County Recorder's Office.
Okay.
The
Zach.
LA Dodgers.
No. It's a good guess. I like that guess. Zane, Alden, y'all got guesses? Zane.
Wrexham AFC.
Incorrect, Alden.
In-N-Out Burger.
Nope. You would not think of it as an entity. Back in the day,
What kind of hint is that?
I don't know.
I'm saying
You would not think of
it
it
is-
as an entity? This is a new low in trivia hint.
you would not think of it as an entity. It is not a company, but it is one of the most popular words that comes out of Los Angeles. Zach.
Venice Beach.
Incorrect. Steven.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well done.
Yeah, entity was totally throwing me off. I was not.
I know.
I don't think I was ever going to put that together.
You go research it. It's weird. It's weird that
It's like a legal
It's
term?
no longer is what like it used to be like a company.
Huh.
It used to be like, yeah, like an entertainment thing, and now it's definitely not that.
That's weird. Yeah.
All right. On this day in 2003, many thought they saw fireworks in the Texas sky. What was it actually, Alden?
The shuttle, the Columbia. Yeah.
There you go. Columbia Space Shuttle exploding. All right.
My school. So I went to.
Are we sure that Hollywood is not a demonic entity?
That's what I
Oh
was
no!
thinking.
That's the right entity now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going
My
to guess
elementary-
Moloch.
Yeah. Paul or Moloch. My elementary school was Columbia Elementary in Florida because it was like by the Cape kind of.
Yeah.
And then when I went to middle school, I was like our mascot was the Challenger. So I went to 2 like shuttle schools like in Florida.
Gosh, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
And both, I don't know what omen this is, but at one point both fucking exploded.
Yeah.
One after the school I went to and one before. Like
Jeez.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I was going to say that explains your stratospheric IQ. But
Speaking of things that are no longer entities.
Oh
He is
my God.
registered with the LA government, though, for reasons.
All right.
For
all right, all
reasons,
right.
yeah.
After one round, Alden has 5, Steven has 2, Zach has 1, and Zane has 1. All right, y'all. Round 2. Jake's movie picks are better than yours. This is objective. You cannot debate this fact.
It's all lost answers.
Every question. No, these are all movies. These are not shows. Every question has 2 parts. So you can get one of the 2 parts. Okay.
What's the point breakdown?
1 and 1. There's 2 points per question.
Okay.
Doofus.
So 1 and 1 equals 2?
These days, yeah. In Jake's current all-time favorite movie, Tom Hardee and Joel Edgerton reunite as brothers after decades of being separated. What is the name of the movie and what brought them back together? Alden.
Warrior to Fight.
Bravo, Alden.
Yeah.
Warrior reunited through MMA.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad about not doing too well on round 1 because I'm definitely going to get 0 points in round 2 and it's not going to matter anyway.
All right. Question number 2.
It's a good movie.
John Hughes directed Jake's all-time favorite comedy, whose tagline was Leisure Rules. What was the name of the movie and who was the second lead actor of the movie? Alden.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay.
What was the second question?
Who was the second lead actor of the movie? You got the first one correct.
Dang it! It's the guy that plays my favorite part. I know it's you want actor name or character name?
I'll accept either one.
All I'm thinking about is the if you put a lump of coal in his ass, you would after 2 weeks you would have a diamond. But I can't think of names right now. I'm so sorry. I pass on the name.
Zane.
Cameron
is correct.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and his name is Alan Ruck.
Okay, yeah. See, his name is like Connor in the Succession show, and I couldn't get that out of my head. And they're both C's, so it was fucking with
That
me.
was gonna be my hint. He's in Succession.
Yeah, but I don't know his name, the actor name.
Gotcha.
But I love that movie so much.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Question number 3. In the movie Interstellar, Jake's second favorite movie, 1, what was unique about the Texas farm in which the family lived? And 2, who was originally supposed to direct the film? I think I saw Zane.
Zane was first, yeah.
I feel like I remember something about it being the only place where people could grow okra.
No. Incorrect. That is incorrect. Okay, it was between Steven and Alden. Y'all are going to have to do an honor code here. Who got it?
Let me take a stab at it.
Okay, Steven.
Yeah. They actually grew the corn in the field, so that way after it was filmed, they could sell the corn and take that out of the, so it wasn't.
You
totally
are correct. Christopher Nolan bought the field, grew the corn, and sold the corn for profit.
Nice.
Capitalism. And he didn't want to use CGI for the corn either.
Yep.
So he made the best of it. And then who was originally supposed to direct it? Oh, crap.
That I don't know.
Zack Snyder?
No.
I hope not.
Yeah. It would have been horrendous. Zach? Or no, I'm sorry. It was Alden. It was Alden.
I was after Steven or tied or whatever, but
yeah, Alden.
I'm just going to take a wild guess. The Coen brothers? You said director, not directors. Maybe I shouldn't have gone that way, but
I'd have liked that. That'd have been cool though. Zach?
Sandra Bullock.
Why? No.
That's so funny.
The hint will be he's an all-time classic movie director. Alden.
Scorsese?
No. Steven. Spielberg is correct.
I almost said him.
You know, that's stupid. Don't say that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to say like the one name, Dang it.
I love it. Good job, Steven. All right.
Got them both.
What is the name of Jake's 5th favorite movie in which Jake Gyllenhaal plays a psychopathic crime journalist? Alden.
Oh my God, Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler is correct. You get a chance at answering the second one now. And the name of the name one of the actors he murdered in the movie.
Oh my God, no.
No.
I can't name actors' names. I can name I'll quote the whole movie to you, but I don't know their names.
Fair. All right.
I love the movie.
Steven, I think you raised your hand next.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Donnie Darko, so I'm really taking the stab in the dark here.
Donnie Darko.
Stab in the Darko.
Yeah.
When you said Jake Gyllenhaal, I just raised my hand because I know a lot of the ones, but I love Donnie Darko, that, and what's the other? October Sky is another really good movie he's in. But
movie.
Yeah.
Max says this episode brought to you by Wickles Pickle
and Christopher Nolan corn, canned corn.
Anybody got one of them? Actually, I'm going to look up what one of them is in real quick.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
I will start listing just movies of one of them. Okay.
Okay.
And whoever can get them. So this guy was in Edge of Tomorrow. Alden.
Tom Cruise.
Incorrect.
I know.
He was in Haywire. He was in dadgum, where are some ones that y'all would actually know him from? He was in U571. He was in Titanic. He was in Twister. Zane.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Incorrect. He was in Apollo 13. He was in True Lies. He was in Tombstone. Alden.
I got it. Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton is correct.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
The other one was Riz Ahmed, who's a newer actor who's really good.
He's got Riz.
He's got Riz.
Gotta represent Gen Z.
Okay. No, you don't.
Yeah. We're going to yeet that comment.
All right. Back
Yeet it.
All right. Back to comedy. This star-studded film. In this star-studded film, which actor dons a fat suit and which actor played the character Tug Speedman?
I feel like I've actually heard of this movie.
Everyone has seen this movie.
Guarantee I haven't.
Tug
I haven't seen any of the movies we
Zane.
talked about tonight.
Is this Idiocracy?
This is not Idiocracy. Back to comedy. In this star-studded film, which famous actor dons a fat suit and which actor played the character Tug Speedman? Grumpy Gnome got the first one. It is Tom Cruise who dons a fat suit.
Oh!
Alden.
And is this? Oh my God! It's got to be Tropic Thunder. Who? Tug
Oh!
Speedman. Yeah.
Who's Tug Speedman?
I don't remember the names, but I'm just gonna say Jack Black
Zane.
because I don't remember.
Incorrect, Alden. Zane.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller.
Zane got it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I forgot all their names. Again, with names, I'm not good. But
oh, that was so good. I like.
Dude, that was like my favorite role of Tom Cruise ever.
It was unbelievable. He was,
and
so
he had
good.
like a finger fat suit. Like
yes,
Yeah.
He was like, he made that explicit demand beforehand. He was like, yes, I will do this movie for you, Ben Stiller, but I have to have fat hands.
Such a weird, but it worked so well.
He's like, I don't care what else there is, but I have to have fat hands. It was.
What did he yell at one point? He's like gonna fuck someone's face or whatever, like through the phone or something. Like, oh my God.
Oh my
it's so
gosh.
good.
All right, after 2 rounds, Alden with a commanding lead of 10. Steven has 4, Zane has 3, audience and Zach are tied at 1, thanks to Grumpy
I can still
win. No, yes, you can. Technically, you can still win. All right, it's mongooses. It's all about the mongoose. Question number 1. What is the term for a group of mongooses? Zach.
Well, I saw it in the chat earlier, so does that count or should I pass?
In what chat?
Brian talked about it earlier.
No, that's you can get your
All
information
right,
from
sorry.
It's prior knowledge.
So you know I'm not actually this smart, but it's a mob.
It is not a mob.
Oh.
Damn it, Brian.
Alden was next.
A gang.
Incorrect. Zane.
Dang it.
A congeries.
No, Stephen, it falls to you, man.
A mongoloid.
I don't even know what hint to give to this one because basically any hint would just give it away.
Mhm.
It is not a name that I've heard for any other group of. Oh, Brian appeals the ruling of the moderator. Interesting. Hang on. Let's see. What is a group of mongooses?
Ryan, that requires
Better not be
two-thirds
mongoose.
What is the
vote.
plural of mongoose?
Interesting. Okay, so there are multiple ones.
Okay, that does happen sometimes.
What did you guess, Zach?
Mob.
Okay,
Mob.
that's
Or
not
not Zach,
one
no,
of these.
We maybe should give that one to the audience since I
Well,
copied them.
if it's
but-
mob, it's yeah.
So this search yielded band. The one that so this might just
A band of monkeys.
Yeah, this might just be a nothing because there's clearly mixed
Yeah,
information
yeah.
on here. The answer was a business.
I mean, I would never have got that. So
Mongoose business, y'all.
Okay.
That's
It's like when you're giving somebody the business. You know?
that's what I thought too. Giving
I
them
feel
a
like
bunch
a-
of mongooses.
I feel like a group of monkeys should be a business.
Ooh, I like that.
No, that's
The
a
monkey
barrel.
business.
That's a Congress.
A barrel of monkeys.
Congress. That's good. All right. Which type of mongoose is known for keeping watch by standing on its hind legs? Alden.
A spy.
Oh my gosh. No. It's a specific breed of mongoose.
I thought it was what the job that the business of mongooses gave to
Steven-
this one mongoose.
Steven, go.
The standing mongoose.
Oh my god. No. Everyone knows what this animal is. Alden. Or no, it's Zane. It's Zane. It's Zane.
It's saying, yeah. already
Crouching
went.
tiger, hidden
Oh
mongoose.
my gosh. Zach.
A prairie dog.
No, but that is the first good answer that I've heard. Alden.
A meerkat.
It's a meerkat.
Ah, man, that's what I meant. Is that not the same thing?
No, they're
No,
not. The
they're
same
not.
Thing.
Yeah.
No, meerkats are in Africa.
Yeah.
All right, final question. But Alden, you already have it in the bag, man.
Yeah.
You just sit this one out. What is the maximum speed at which a mongoose can run? This is the number one, so everybody's going to get to answer. Closest gets it. Steven?
What elevation?
African or European?
The swallow?
Are we doing miles or knots or what?
That's so good.
We're doing
Steven, you get
miles
mad
an hour.
props, man.
I will go with 15 miles per hour.
Okay. Zane?
25 miles per hour.
Okay. Zach?
10.
Alden?
19.
Alden gets it. It is 20
Woo!
miles an hour.
Wow.
Just gotta
That
clinch
is-
it.
That is just crazy fast.
You can't run.
That's
I
like
look like-
Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt was like 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I don't know where you got that picture, but I look like I'm wearing an arm fat suit in that picture.
Dude, yeah. I heard y'all discussing it on an episode when I wasn't here and y'all were playing trivia and you won. And I wanted to comment, but it was just too funny just to watch y'all struggle to find out. That was from when you and I went to Savannah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I cropped me out of it.
I was too drunk to remember that. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a funny night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Alden wins, y'all. How about that? Zane loses twice in a row. This is just the best year so far. 2024, it's going to be a phenomenal year. I'm loving
It has
it.
come out swinging for sure.
Yeah. Well, y'all, we had so many topics to get to tonight. How many people can go for another 30 minutes? Steven, it's up to
I'm
you.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I've got about another 20 at least. So
Okay. Well, then we're just going to keep going with it.
Wait. Well, you can go. I'm going to grab a beer, though. If we're going to be a half hour, I need another beverage.
Sweet. Go do it.
Grab me one.
Zach, why are you out of focus and your background
Don't
is in
know.
focus?
Probably because I was doing this with my hand. There we go. Is that better?
No.
No. I don't know.
All right. Let's pull up the spy pigeons. Let's pull up the spy pigeons, Zach.
What's a group of spy pigeons called?
the CIA.
All right. So pigeons were suspected of being Chinese spies released by police in India after being detained for 8 months. They detained these pigeons in India for 8 months because they thought they were Chinese spies. This is an article from Sky News, y'all.
That's hilarious.
I kid you not.
Detained birds.
They didn't just kill the dadgum pigeons. They detained the pigeons in Mumbai. It's like,
well, you need to execute them if they were innocent.
I guess.
Wow.
It's just too.
It wasn't even Chinese. Apparently, they said that in this article that they had Chinese riding on a band on their legs.
Yeah, but it wasn't Chinese.
It says it turned out they were racing birds from Taiwan.
Wow. So that's one wasn't even right. And two, if it was a spy bird, why would you put a band on the leg of like, this is our spy bird? Like,
exactly.
Good God.
I just thought that was freaking hilarious and worth.
That's the news we should hear. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine that being your job as an interrogator? You know, like you've got a college
Who do you work for?
You went through 2 years of training. You've got 10 years of field experience, and your job for 8 months is to break this bird and get information.
That's just so stinking.
That you never get.
Spies of
It's
Saruman.
idiotic that someone literally was in charge of keeping the bird alive for 8 months.
But
They
barely.
had to come in each day and feed a pigeon rather than just killing the dadgum pigeon. It's a pigeon. It's a sky rat. Like,
make pigeon pie, you know?
Yeah.
I used to have 2 pet pigeons.
Oh, Zach.
What happened to them?
They got eaten by a hawk.
They got interrogated. They were waterboarded and they didn't make it.
Yeah. That's why Donald Trump raises hawks right there. You know.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, it reminded me of one of our most viral clips, which was the missile pigeons. The pigeons that they put in missiles to guide the missiles.
By pecking the screen or whatever.
Yeah, by pecking the screen where the target was. It was one of the
have we
funniest
already
things.
talked about that?
That was
that was a while.
Yeah,
ago.
that was months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was one
That
of our
was
most
like-
viral clips on Instagram. It was freaking hilarious.
I mean,
yeah, it was crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, and they showed video of it. Like you can see them training those dumb missile pigeons to peck at the screen and where the target goes. It's
A true
hilarious.
patriot. Yeah.
Brian says he's seen a rat fight a pigeon and drag it off into the bushes.
Don't fuck with rats, man.
Thank you for that, Brian.
Wow. Okay.
All
I've
right.
seen the praying mantis fight a hummingbird.
Yes. Oh my gosh, those things are vicious, dude.
That's savage.
I just watched it eat its brain right out of its skull. It was nuts.
Isn't
It
the
just
praying mantis the one that like
grabs
after they mate, it's one of the ones where the woman like
eats
kills the
head,
man and eats the
I think black widow spiders do it too.
yeah.
Ah,
Several spiders, yeah.
yeah, it's probably true.
Yeah.
Um,
And
all
soon
right.
people.
All right. Well, let's move on to this. We don't have to talk about this for very long. I just thought it was super interesting that he's saying the quiet part out loud. You're gonna want to unmute it before you. Yeah, there we go. This is a climate activist talking about the state of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
One way or another, we are so far, globally, we are so far above the population and the consumption levels which can be supported by this planet that I know in one way or another it's going to come back down. So I don't hope to avoid that. I hope that it can occur in a civil way. And I mean civil in a special way. Peaceful. The planet can support something like 1 billion people, maybe 2 billion, depending on how much liberty and how much material consumption you want to have. If you want more liberty and more consumption, you have to have fewer people. And
All right, you can stop it right
versus
there.
you can have more people.
Has someone told him how many people are on Earth now and it is currently
So,
working?
My favorite part of this is he's like, you can have maybe 1 billion, and then he immediately doubles it to 2
or
billion
2.
people. Or
Yeah.
2 billion. It's like you don't even have a number, you moron.
Plus
And
or minus
based
a
on
billion.
You know, we can have 1 to 2 billion people based on how he's feeling that particular day. If he's in
Yeah.
a bad mood, he'll have to execute 1 billion people.
But he would like it to be.
And
peaceful,
what's his
Zane.
peaceful or civil solution to this, which is just like die quickly? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, his peaceful solution is just like people dying off from starvation.
That's what this is,
Yeah.
what? I'm reminded of a scene from Interstellar where he says that with NASA going into hiding because they basically refused to bomb the starving population kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's such a good movie, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I found if you take what the climate activists these days are like, how they're acting and behaving, if this is their basis, because this is an older clip, this is something that just came back up, resurfaced recently. If you take this as like their basis, then if you buy into that, then you're going to hate everything that humanity does.
Yeah,
You're just going to hate human beings.
It's Malthusian on a whole new level. It's the, back in the 70s or the 60s, it was the ZPG crowd, zero population growth. We've got to stop this population boom, discouraging people from having kids and just, if it feels good, do it in the road. And communism is great and all that crap that was going around then. These people, these climate activists of today are those people's kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
And they went to the same colleges and they were immersed in that ideology their whole life now. So it's the new and improved commie. It's the, I don't really know how else to say it, but it's, they come off as these intellectuals and the academics and, like they've got all the answers, but they're at the end of the day, they're commies and they're preaching this depopulation crap because they believe they'll have a seat at the table. They're not one of the ones that are going to get knocked off.
Right. There is some hubris and some arrogance there with that and some weird, kind of perspective bias. And I just don't understand how, it's so arbitrary to just pull a number out of your ass and then double it. Yeah. But then based on what? It depends on, there's so many factors. It's the climate is just one of them. How you live and how you practice is one of them. And I think that people are really resilient and adaptive. And if you allow people to, when you get the state involved and you get, weird things happening, then it becomes restrictive. But if you allow people, then you can come up with ways to do, different farming practices and crop rotations and rotation of bringing in different grazing animals in different areas. And you can actually reverse the process of desertification by bringing in animals and then their manure and blah, 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 and then oxygenating the soil. And you can actually have a positive impact depending on how you do it. And to just say that we would go flatly, we would never change how we do things. And if we got to 20 billion people, we would all just starve and die because we would never learn and we would never adjust and we would never adapt is that's already sort of a falsehood, even just in how they're approaching it. So it just doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to just say.
That's exactly right. And Stephen, you said that this is Malthusianism on a whole new level. I would say that's at the same level that's always been on. So it's literally the exact same stuff that Thomas Malthus was saying in the 1700s, where he was very concerned that the population was growing too fast and people weren't going to be able to grow enough food to feed everyone. And what he didn't take into account was we have always been able to figure out how to grow more and more food faster and faster as the population grows faster and faster. Alden, doing all the things that you just said and a million other different things, because humans are, infinitely creative and we always come up with new and better ways of doing things.
Yeah, but grow lamps.
The problem is from the perspective of the academic that wants to sit there and dictate an arbitrary carrying capacity of the earth. It's impossible for them to be able to predict what new technologies are coming down the pike. The only thing that we can know for sure is that more of them are coming and we don't need to worry about it.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, these people first of all, they have zero trust in other humans, no trust whatsoever in other humans to actually do good things. And two, they have no imagination whatsoever. They can't possibly picture that we can improve things over time.
Which we've seen over history that we've been able to do. So how do you not extrapolate that, at least in a guess form?
Because people don't have imaginations, man. Like, okay,
it's math. It's not even imagination at this point.
But
it's just
but it
trajectory.
is because so many people think that what they're living in now is the peak of what human existence is.
But we've seen that everyone thinks that all of the time.
Yeah.
It's just sort of become now like a false axiom. I don't understand how.
But now more than ever, it's possible to totally separate yourself from the city center. You know, you don't ever have to go to town anymore.
Yeah.
You don't ever really even have to leave your own basement.
You don't have to.
Just stew in your own echo chamber and let that crap fester and crush your soul. And these people are, almost exclusively atheist. So, simultaneously, the human race is incapable of surviving, but we're also the most superior thing on the planet right now.
I'd be interested to see the correlation of atheism with this way of thinking. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be.
I think the world population is probably too high by 1, and it's that guy.
Well said.
He's got 2 brain cells, and they're fighting for 3rd place.
But I hope that he dies civilly, peacefully.
Peacefully.
Yeah.
Very, very peacefully.
Thoughtfully.
Yeah.
In a very special way.
In a special way. Forgot he said that.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Man.
This next one is for some reason I thought of Steven specifically for this one. So let's play this one.
Just do what women want.
Why?
Because they care about women and they want women to be happy and they want them to love them, right? And so you can go back to, say, the Victorian era, and men used to treat women with an extreme amount of deference because the generations living then remembered a time when the world was a lot more difficult than people now remember it being. And so the physical inequality between men and women was emphasized because the world was a much more difficult place. And so men took a paternalistic and patriarchal view on how women should be treated. And women wanted men to take that. They wanted to be safe. They wanted to be provided for. They wanted to make sure their children were safe. And men did what they could. Now men have won. They've, the fact we've got aeroplanes flying overhead and the fact that we're not about to be invaded is the victory of Western man. And then for some reason, women decided, okay, well, I'm not afraid anymore. I want what you have. You don't do the things that we do, so you can't have what we have. But men just want women to be happy. They want them to love them. They want their approval. And so if gaining women's approval means pretending women are equal to men or, saying this, that, and the other, whatever it is, they'll do it. And it's completely taken men off of the throne that they sat on. And this throne was never imposed by authority, actually. It was imposed by consent. And the second women withdrew their...
Yeah. It reminds me of the one of the Joe Rogan stand-up bits, when he's talking about the White House getting broken into, because there was a female that was a front guard.
Right.
Like, I believe women are equal in most things, and there's some things that, no, you can't do them.
Yeah,
one
that
of them
was a good bit.
Guarding the White House.
That was such a good bit. Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Been a while.
When people are thinking about, the oppression of women in historical context, they're usually thinking about upper class people where to have authority was a good thing. They're usually thinking about, large landowners, important politicians and scientists, and people where you would actually want to be able to do that if you could. And the fact that women weren't able to do that was a bad thing. But for the vast majority of people in those times, to be a man was actually to have to do incredibly difficult manual labor.
Yes.
And if you had asked most women, would you rather do that or be in the situation that you're currently in, which was widely regarded even by them as being easier. Even if you only have to go back to World War II to realize that it's easier to stay at home to take care of kids, even though I'm not saying that that's an easy thing by any stretch.
Correct.
But it's easier than having to go to Europe and fight Nazis. The fact that nobody has to do anything remotely difficult compared to what people were doing 100 years ago. I am tremendously thankful that is the case. And I'm not saying, oh, people need to do hard things because we're too soft and everybody needs to live in the woods and
Skin a book and run a trout line?
and take themselves out of the global division of labor. I am infinitely thankful that we live in the prosperity that we do. But I think that it's important to keep in mind the context of, the historical difference between the genders.
There we go.
Yes.
I do have to hop off, fellas. Sorry.
Sure, man. No, it's all right. Good to see you, brother.
Guys.
Love you, man.
Peace, brother.
Congrats. I'm not bringing this up as like a counter argument. Just a bit of trivia that during World War II, when the men went to war and then a lot of the women filled in positions in workplaces and like factory jobs and things like that. Later, brother. The efficiency actually went up in that time for those job positions, which is interesting. But there was the wartime thing too, and there was a lot of like that incentive, and there was a lot of like emotion behind it. So there's a lot of variables going on. It was, they banned sliced bread. That was a trivia question from a while ago.
Yeah.
But the efficiency or the productivity or whatever the metric that work produced over time like went up as a rate during that time. But
yeah, I always find it interesting that like it doesn't matter who it is, but if you're referencing something from the past and you are trying to show that you're the victim, you're only going to think about and reference the worst possible parts of what you think you're a victim of. And so like women, for instance, tend to generalize about how like abusive men have been in the past and how horrendous like spouses were to their wives, like husbands were to their wives. And nowadays it's much better and all this stuff. But like, no matter, like Jordan Peterson said it best, and Zane was kind of touching on this a minute ago, is like men and women struggled together for centuries because they had to in order to survive. And like life was not always nearly as easy as we have it today. And the majority of people had to do very hard things every single day just to put food on the table. So
I think it's another way to get us bickering about something that's like a basically a much less important separation between people than it is like the elitist, richest people that make decisions for everyone else without their consent, without their, no real representation. And regular people. That's the separation that matters the most. People making decisions for you that degrade your opportunities and rights in this world and get, reap the benefits of your labor. It's basically a slave labor system where you get paid a little bit basically in this world.
No, it isn't.
No, it is not the same in the sense that, but like there are people that live off of the shoulders of other people in a way that, well, okay, that's a whole other thing that we'd have to get into a whole deal with that. But there's a lot of people that we're fighting about these little differences that I don't think matter nearly as much as some other ones.
Yeah,
and I think
there's.
Go ahead.
Finish up if you're.
I just things like what if it's the media that just keeps presenting it to us or whatever, and then. We've all talked about the ties between media and government and, people like Bill Gates that funds the media and whatever. And just Bill Gates is just ostensibly just whatever. Bill Gates as a put rich asshole here kind of thing, just to defend their image as a PR thing or whatever. But I really think that that's just one of the sort of like bickering sort of talking point things of like, whether it's race or gender or whatever, that like, we are so much more similarities between the things between the people we would call different in these contexts. We have so much more in common with these people than we do with some other people. And that's what I'll say about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
It seems like using the word equality maybe isn't the right word that guy's looking for, because it's like none of us are equal. Like,
no, right, and that's
Zane's
fine,
smarter than me, Jake's stronger than me. Like, if we're counting on me to do the fighting, we're still going to be conquered, like just as much as if it were women. So I don't know. Like,
yeah, that's
they're
fair.
Good at different things.
Yes, you have
everybody's
hair
good
than all of us.
Yeah, you have much better hair than everybody. Yeah. I mean, so much better. Yeah, that's the thing. Nobody's equal in anything ever, and striving
And a
for
lot of that's
equality
okay.
is idiotic. The only thing people should be striving for are equal rights, and that's it. There's no other equality
under
on
the
earth.
law.
Correct. There's no other equality on earth. So anyway,
I do also just want to briefly say that I sometimes see, as part of the reaction to like the extreme feminism, a mindset of some guys that are kind of sitting around talking about how great men are, but actually achieving nothing on their own. And if you're a young man and you want to feel manly, you do not get to take credit for the accomplishments of other men. You need
Kill a
to
spider,
go out there.
you know?
You need to go out there and make your own accomplishments. And it doesn't have to be exactly what men were doing 100 years ago. No, I haven't accomplished anything that men were accomplishing at that time. But it's like you need to do something on your own. You can't just say that men are good, because men are. You can't think about it as a collective group, just as you can't think of any other group as a collective group.
I like to think about masculinity and femininity as attributes of all people, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, I don't know how much you guys understand, like, the concept of, like, the sacred masculine or the sacred feminine, like kind of like tarot-y stuff or whatever, but it's a cool, like, archetypal kind of way of, like, thinking about it. And the more you kind of study that kind of thing, you understand, like, oh, like, that one thing I do, that's kind of a masculine thing. And in me, it's actually, I find that I have more, in these senses, more feminine traits than masculine a lot of the time for a male. And because, like, I'm an artist and I'm a emotional being and you know, things like that or whatever, things that, but like culturally we now just go, like, it's like man, woman, and it's not as simple as that. Like, it's like you have a dick, great, but you know, I feel like it's more interesting to have a conversation about like traits like these. And like, there are a lot of women out there that will be very masculine in their bullish and, you know, determined and argumentative stance for women's rights. And it's funny that they wouldn't see that as a masculine thing, but I would, having studied masculinity in this sense. And anyway, it's just an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, I like it. This next topic has us all screwed. So
great.
Yeah.
Politics is a good indicator that their personal relationships are a mess. Unless they're financially invested in the political sphere, they're probably compensating for feeling powerless in their life.
So basically, at the beginning,
what our whole show,
a person obsessed over politics is a good indicator of their personal life being a mess.
Yeah.
So, that basically just means we're all screwed. It means our personal lives are a disaster. Because we're on here at least I'm online at least 2 hours a week, 3 hours, 4 hours a week, just obsessed with politics. So do y'all find any truth to this? I think it's entirely person dependent, because for me, my personal life is not in shambles basically ever.
It's about balance.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an order to it, and I know that tons of other people have made this point before. But if you're getting super invested in politics and your personal life is a mess, you should probably withdraw from politics until you like clean up your room. Because if you can't even
Jordan Peterson again,
if you cannot even order your own life, who are you to try to order other people's lives?
Yeah.
Whereas if you have your own life in order, then I think you gain the capability to then go out into the community.
Put your oxygen mask on first.
There we go.
Yeah. I think it also depends on what your wishes are, because like maybe this is your personal life is a mess from somebody else's perspective, but maybe you're like, no, I want to do this. I don't want a relationship, or I don't want a whatever, or a clean room.
But that doesn't mean your life isn't a mess. Like,
objectively, though, like if you're coming at it from like objectively, like I think it's a mess. I do think it's worth defining, though, like in like someone's. I'm getting into the weeds of it.
Yeah, we're getting into the weeds.
You brought it up.
I was just brought it up for a silly thing.
Yeah. I'm like dissecting it.
This next one is literally for Alden, but I found it intriguing as well.
Lead paint.
Government's ability to listen to us. And everything lead, we're going to find out. I'm over here at Michael's. I'm getting a decent amount of comments indicating that people think that the government banned lead paint not because it's dangerous, but instead because it blocks EMF waves. Electromagnetic frequency waves are something that is emitted by a cell phone. It could be used to scan our brains. Lizard people, I have no idea. But I'm going to put that to the test by buying a box from this place, and then I'm going to coat it with some lead. This will do nicely.
Okay, we don't have to watch the whole video.
But does he put a cell phone in the box?
Yeah, and it does what it's supposed to do.
Right.
It's a very long video. We can.
That's interesting as a concept. I've not thought of that before.
I was interested to see if you had. Yeah.
I've not thought of that, and I've always thought it was funny that like it was banned because I'm like the only problem is if you eat it or like sand it and turn it into dust, and that's when it's a problem. If you don't sand it, it doesn't harm anyone. It's the same as asbestos, where if you don't turn it into dust, you're fine. You know.
Yeah. I have asbestos downstairs in my basement, but
it'll be fine.
I'm not there rubbing it all the time.
Don't sand it and eat off of it, and you'll be okay. Like
yeah. I found that to be very interesting because. What was the precise year they banned lead paint? Do we know?
I don't. I know the lead, more about the lead gas, and there's even mixed reports on that. But that's a little bit different if you're, if it's in the
1978. It says
because the gas was in the 70s too, I think.
That was when did the internet first start happening, and when did they start using wireless signals? As a
wireless internet,
not wireless internet, just wireless signals as a regular communication device. And
well, it depends on the signgle because like radio has been used for a long time, and that's wireless.
True.
Because like FM and AM.
It's an interesting one because lead paint. I mean, that's a friggin' fantastic way to block out all that EMF radiation and any signal that comes into your house. So it made me want to paint my house in Montana in lead paint. Is basically what I'm saying here.
I'm gonna look into it. Yeah, that's funny.
I'm definitely gonna have a room that is painted in lead paint.
The panic room is lead paint. Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I just want to know if you thought of that before.
No, I never did. That's actually, I'm glad you brought that to my attention.
All right. Well, the final serious topic of the night is actually ties into the climate activism that we had before.
You can just put lead inside your hoodie, and then you're good.
Yes, there we go.
Call me a skeptic all you want, but as long as I see headlines like this that say carbon footprints of homegrown food is 5 times greater than those grown conventionally, I will continue to be president of the foil hat gang because this just shows that they are desperate for your dependence. They will try to convince you in any way possible to go away from self-sufficiency. Homegrown food is bad for the environment. Do I get the compost from my own property? Yes, I do. Do I get the fertilizer from my own property? Yes, I do. Do I just get to grow food in my own backyard? Yes, but apparently that's bad for the environment. All this does is continue to prove that they do not care about your health.
And collecting rainwater on your own property in some states or cities is problematic and illegal and all kinds of things.
Dude, it's wild. That was an actual headline. Like,
So can I play devil's advocate here for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
So there are a couple of different issues we need to disentangle here, which is that if you just look at face value, what the study is saying, having the home garden increases your CO2 emission. I can actually see how that would be true because if you're having to buy a bunch of your own equipment and then you're only growing food for yourself, I can definitely see how if you're only looking at emissions, it might be more efficient to have somebody only have to buy one set of equipment and then grow food for a bunch of people. However, what that statement doesn't mean is a couple things. It doesn't mean that we should care about the amount of emissions. And also, it doesn't mean that homegrown food isn't healthier because I'm sure in most cases it is healthier. But the question of whether it emits fewer carbon dioxide doesn't have anything to do with how healthy it is. And whether how much carbon dioxide it emits has very little bearing on whether people should do it or not. But
there's a lot of variables with it. It's like, where do you get your tools? Did you get them at a garage sale and they've already been made for years? And you know what I mean? Like there's that. Do you run anything that operates off of gas, or do you just out there hoeing the ground? You know what I mean? Like,
And would you have to do it anyway? Like maybe you'd be blowing leaves or something if you didn't have a garden.
Honestly, you might do less sometimes because if you have a gas mower, that's a whole different thing. And having lawn, just grass, is like not nearly as much as having like fruit trees in terms of like those convert carbon dioxide into oxygen. So if you're planting trees on your property, that could be a whole other thing.
They sequester carbon into the ground, both through taking in carbon and putting into the roots, but then also when they die, they fall over and they become part of the ground again.
Mm-hmm.
And emissions isn't the only thing. Like people see that synonymous with the environment. It's just emissions, but growing food at home and doing things like that will also improve your soil health and just all sorts of benefits from there. Like
it depends.
I live at a place with a
overdo
pond and like I've just living here for 5 years, I think I have improved my soil health a little bit by never doing anything except putting like mulch on it. I don't, really.
What's not good for soil is lawns and then having to do spray fertilizer and pesticide stuff.
Yeah, I don't
to
do
keep
any of that
like
stuff.
Then it's not good for the pond that's right next to it either.
No.
So
no.
Well, y'all, we got through all 11 topics.
I saw the topics list
actually,
and I was like, "Are we going to get to that?"
We did skip one.
Yeah, I know. We're not going to go back to it. I'm not.
We just kicked it out.
What we skip?
and it wasn't that important. It was the Zelensky one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm certain people didn't read up on it, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
Y'all, for
I'm
those
impressed.
who don't know, we're gonna watch 4 dumb, funny videos. And then we're gonna call it a night. This has been a great episode. I've thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, this is fun
chatting with y'all. So here we go.
Guys, I found the hack to save money at Target and watch this. Okay. Here we go, Frank. All right, ready to go? All right, we made it. Here we go.
All right, let's go. Ready to lap it up?
Well, you can actually just stay right in here. No need to get out.
No, we have to go into Target.
Or perfect. Thank you. Alrighty, that's for you. You want to double check, make sure we got everything there?
This isn't even funny. I said I wanted to go to Target.
And get deodorant and a waffle maker.
No, I
check the
wanted to
bag.
go
Let's make
out.
sure they got it. Waffle maker. Easy as that. That was good. Efficient. Fun. Guys,
efficient.
You saved about $300.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good, man. It's so good. There you go. This is wild.
Oh God.
Like what the heck?
Some Hitchcock vibes.
Army
here.
of duck, man.
No, it's an army of frogs.
That is so weird.
What's a group of ducks specifically?
Flock? I don't know.
Flock.
That's what I mean generally.
A pursuit.
That's good.
That's perfect. If it's not that, I'll be upset.
All right. Here's
A
number
quack
3.
of ducks.
A quackening.
Gosh.
Growing up, my dad used to always tell us that if the music was playing on the ice cream truck, that they had sold out.
Oh no!
Oh,
So, did you go up thinking they were always sold out? The ice cream was always sold
Yeah.
out. Oh.
Honestly, yes. And it's now something that I tell my child.
This is what I suffered through.
Growing up, my
Twisted
dad.
fate. I love that she made her kids.
This is similar to the Target video.
Yeah, it is.
It's a similar kind of thing.
And then there's this one.
Looks like someone fell down the hill while trying to get their disc. That must have been pretty embarrassing. Looks like someone fell down the hill while trying to get their disc. That must have been pretty embarrassing.
That got me.
Oh, that was a good one.
I just thought back the other day to the one that you had on here where the guy's like shampooing and then somebody keeps adding
my
shampoo.
gosh.
That's one of the funniest things like I've ever seen, honestly. Like,
Yeah, I've seen that a few times, and like the first couple times, I was weeping, crying because it was so stinking funny.
Yeah.
That's such a good clip.
I think it was the hardest I've laughed on this show was that one.
Yeah, so good. And just
It
kept
just gets
going
me.
on and on, man.
The guy was getting so angry.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, y'all. Well, Zane, Alden, Zach, and Steven, who is no longer with us,
He's here in spirit.
In the digital way. In the digital way and not the physical way. Thank you.
Rest his soul.
This was a great night. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Loved talking about the debate. Loved talking about all the other crazy topics with you guys. Yeah.
It's a crazy world.
Yeah, man. If you have any questions about the LP, go to lpgeorgia.com. If you want to follow Zane on Twitter, it's Placie_Z. Zach is Z Varnell, and I am the Jake Green on all social media. You can also go follow my production company, Peaceful Seed Productions. And Alden is Wet February. So
yeah. I was going to make the same joke. Wet_February on Twitter or X. I'm not.
Yeah,
that's not true.
Make sure you tune in on Monday nights for free Georgia podcast. I've decided that I'm going to be focusing on 3 topics all year. One of those will be Bitcoin. So there'll be a lot of Bitcoin episodes. There'll be at least 12 Bitcoin episodes. One of them will be medical freedom, and that'll be based around, I'm going to be getting a lot of people from You Are the Power to come on, and a lot of their clients to come on the show.
You can buy herpes medication anonymously.
Yeah. The third one is undecided. I want to focus on very specific things and talk about them repeatedly, so we have a breadth of information on one topic.
Ideas can be sent to @TheJakeGreen on X.
There we go. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, follow, all the good stuff. The more we get in the algorithm, the more people get to watch us do stupid things late at night on a Thursday night. So,
or we should take the Toad philosophy and tell people don't
like
vote for
anything.
us, don't follow us.
Yeah, don't do any of it.
It's Mr. Toad.
It's
Mr. Toad, yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Toad.
That cracked it up.
That was great. Go watch the debate, everybody. It's on Rumble. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook, Twitter, all of it. Well, no, it might not be on Twitter. I don't know how.
Yeah, because
it's in like 3 parts.
Does it stick around after the live stream? I don't even know.
Not sure.
Okay. Anyway, go watch the debate. It's awesome. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.